river was deep, mountain was high, valley was low. Knew you were waiting, knew you were waiting for me.
politics, yo. douglAR politics. Listen, douglAR politics, yeah. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics, yeah. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics. douglAR politics. This is douglAR politics, yo. douglAR politics.
Good evening and welcome to douglAR Politics. Vishnu and Archie say, I can't get you all that I have planned today. They say it's impossible, so there we go. We might be going long. All you get your popcorn, get your doubles. If you have corn soup, get it ready. douglAR Politics. NGC, let me tell you something. All you have money to waste after you pelt away $233 million and begging for indemnity from the PNM who tell you to waste $233 million in Atlantic Train 1 when everybody tell you it wasn't going, and another $220 million wasted in some project that all you spend the money and then realize, hey, we don't need that. All you still have money to go and waste behind PNM Commonwealth Youth Games. For whom? By whom? For what reason? For what purpose? How much money was invested in the athletes in their preparation to represent Trinidad and Tobago in this upcoming Commonwealth Youth Games? The Youth Games of Noel Garcia and Rowley with Shamfair. The men renamed Shamfa boy from Shamfa to Shamfair. She get fairer. You understand? How much? What is the games about? Noel Garcia fixing stadium. All you put up a sign, Hazy Crawford Stadium, paint up, change up, put up cheap seats, spend 80 million there, spend 50 million elsewhere. That is what Commonwealth Youth Games is about. So NGC, you going to join that to waste more taxpayers' money when children cannot even get football boots and equipment and training and coaching and preparation, and the coaches cannot get education, and they cannot get sports science, and no sports development officers, and no support. Parents have to dip their hand in their pocket to pay for their children to represent the red, white, and black. And all you tell me about all you have money to sponsor Commonwealth Youth Games? Embarrassing. West Indies bowled out twice by India inside 3 days. Well done, Rowley. As soon as they get you the work, we get worse. Keith Christopher Rowley, boy. Let me tell you something. Rowley don't care about nothing in Trinidad and Tobago. By the end of this show, if the only people who should ever vote for Rowley is if you're actually getting a contract or you have a work from the PNM. End of story. Other than that, no other sensible person will vote for Keith Rowley. Look, Rowley and Shamfair, these two, let me tell you something. Football. You're like these two here, like to talk race thing and obia. And politics is race, and everything is race. Well, let's talk race. Let the douglAR talk race now, the half African, half Indian. When Kamala, the Indian lady, was in charge of this country, football, which is a 98.9% like FM radio, African game in Trinidad and Tobago. The only Indian footballer's big name is Bobby Sukram. You had Danulal and you have Rampasad now from Canada. You have a handful of Indian playing football. But Kamala Prasad Bisesa invested in the Pro League over 15 million per year because she understood the industry and the opportunities for all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. She invested over 4.6 million per year in the Super League. She allowed colleges league to not pay to play in their own stadium. PNM just charge you 5,000 for lights to play intercall in the stadium paid for by taxpayers' money. National team football would benefit between 18 to 25 million dollars under Kamala Prasad Bisesa per year for all the national teams, boys, girls, men, women, across the board, Olympic team and so on. These people come in. On top of that, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, Minister of Sport, increased the NPI vote, which meant that national teams, parents didn't have to have barbecue and curricue to send their children to represent the country. They could go in full uniform, full kit, get full equipment, coaching, so on, help the elite athletes pay their massage therapists, their physiotherapists, and so on. That is a holistic approach to sport under Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Look at what these people doing. down to the grassroots, even the little fellas, even in at-risk communities, even when black man trying to help children come out of areas, hotspot areas, to identify their talent, give them opportunity to go away, get coaches to see them, and have an opportunity to take themselves out of that vicious cycle of poverty. You know what these two do? They close the door on them. Run it, Archie.
I am not funding those black children. I am not giving them no support. You're not hearing what I'm saying? Stop coming and see me. I'm not going to fund them. My name is Nyron Jones, the head coach and founder of Powerful United Football Academy, located in Larkota. As you would have seen recently on some of the national TV stations and national radio stations, in reference to the Academy receiving an invitation to travel to Sweden to represent Trinidad and Tobago in the world's most prestigious youth football tournament. This is a tournament that puts youth footballers on a platform to execute and demonstrate their skills to now go on to different levels of the game. The name, the famous name for all the wrong reasons, Larkota, yes Larkota, yes Minister of Youth and National Service. Bear in mind the children in the academy range from 7 to 18, so we are not adults. Foster Cummins, on the 10th occasion, he decided not to give any assistance by a signature. Sweden is waiting on us. So Trinidad and Tobago, the man on the street, the business community, I am coming to you today as a youth of this nation, for the youth to step in where others may have failed and not fail the youth, because they are looking forward to this opportunity and they could have choose any other path in life, but they choose to walk the good path, just as myself, just as their coach. Trinidad and Tobago, we ask you to step in, share this video, let this video go viral. The kids deserve this opportunity. Yes, Mr. Foster Cummins, they want good, they deserve this opportunity. As much as you may think they don't deserve it, they have dreams just like you, and they deserve a chance in life to be great. Trinidad and Tobago, let's bring this to life.
Yes, but Foster Cummins could get your taxpayers' dollars in Venture Credit Union in his personal account, 1.8 million and 4.4 million from MTS, who he have no contract with, and Venture Credit Union have none with, but they have no money to let the children go and represent Trinidad and Tobago, themselves and their family, to boost their self-esteem, to identify their talent, to get opportunities, to get them motivated to move forward, to take themselves and their families out of poverty. Now PNM would not have no money for that. They had to build nice building for the health sector administration while you can't get Panadol, and while nurses walking through flood water and rain falling on you inside the hospital while you're waiting in the waiting area. The PNM under Rowley had to build a nice pretty office building for 180 million or so right by the savannah, so they could administer the pain properly from a position of comfort. That is PNM for all you. When you see more PNM, all you want to vote, vote, man. Look at sport. This is a CARICOM took Rowley and put him in charge of West Indies cricket, and within, as soon as they hear his name, the West Indies play worse. They get bowled out 20 wickets within 3 days, you know. India only bat and declare and all kind of thing, gallery in themselves. Them boys, India gone and turned by the pool to get a flight to Trinidad to come and gallery down here too. What sport, what sport under Rowley?
Young people, you're talking about people my age, you know, young people know what they're doing. I came down here the last time, what you want, nothing, disrespect. You disrespecting people, but young people, have nothing for you get down here. Under this regime, they just don't care. What you have to this fellow Joe? I can't even. All the track is out here. If they have a track now, what this stadium here? What this stand? President used to come here, you know. The sports, you know. President, Prime Minister, the best. What you going on here? What you going on here? To to pass the velodrome. But we have a committee. Dr. Rowley form a committee, Nicole Olivier, Dylan from Point, and Leon to Lahon, how they call him. I can't remember his name. That is the committee. And this Nicole Olivier passing with people, campaigning by a house, boy, hurting people, boy. Brad, I not understand the elders, you know, but like them I care. They care about the young people and them. I don't care. I don't care who vex, lost, because I can't handle this. You have good athletes, everything going too good. What you trying to, you know, watch this place. Watch this place. It's madness. Young people, I came here the last time I won all in 2020, you know. They still have no respect. What you're going to get worse. It get worse. And still voting these people, but it's hard, you know. Doesn't like what I'm talking, but it's hard. His tears want to come out, man.
Paulo Seco, International Cycling, Gene Samuel, Roger Gibbon, Ian Natalie, running, football, Tesoro, Texaco, Big Gabe, Brian, Williams, big team, red man in the middle, real football, real action down in there. Look at what PNM have. Carry come on, put Rowley in charge of West Indies cricket. Look at Trinidad and Tobago sport. Look, and let me tell you all something. If you all don't understand what our children have to compete against, and you put Rowley who don't care, and you put Shamfa who just care about getting fairer, not being fairer, you know, getting fairer, in charge of sport, to suffer all our athletes who have to go out and watch what them have to compete with. Just show a little example of what's going on in the world and show the skill. Run it. Watch this little girl. Watch this girl in India. The boys in the whole village bowling at she, and it went on for hours and full pace, you know, shot after shot, balance, agility, coordination, intelligence. Look at that man charging in there, full pace. What a beautiful cover drive. Watch this girl. This is not a boy, yeah? This is a girl going to play for India. Where are my girls? Where are our children? What are they doing? They're looking at Shamfa to see if they could get lighter and the waist could come in and thing could pop out and they could go and make obia. Look at this little girl from India here. The whole village, all the boys come out and she batting whole day, whole night. Shot after shot, big men bowling the hardest. They not no slow ball, you know. And look at shot after shot, middling. That's what we have to compete against. All you're going to put Rowley in charge of cricket, Rowley who finds Champagne to put her, all you go ahead. Think elections is no big thing. Watch this little youth man. Watch this little youth man. This little youth man is 3.5 years old. Oh Lord! Look at shot. Look at shot after shot. And check the back, check the circular kind of Nadal. Oh my goodness, the follow through, shot after shot. That's who we have to compete with. And all you go on and find Rowley, a man who playing golf all day, all night, and he still suck. Rowley who ain't no good at nothing, who knows nothing, who finds champagne suffering our people. And you all find elections are funny things. Oh, everybody's the same, really and truly. Not even the jersey the same. Look at this jersey I get from Print Ideas in Claxton Bay. Thank you all to check out them. Look at this. You understand? Not even the jersey. PNM had to go and thief Michael Jordan logo. You see how they quietly hide it. They don't wear it again. Shame. They thiefing win. They thiefing logo. They thiefing without procurement. They come in to legalize and change when they done thief. That's what you're voting for? And then I now understand some of y'all though. Boy, CARICOM, I saw some of the prime ministers of CARICOM being interviewed by my boy who they say, you know what you know or you don't know what you know, whatever you know, but you know that you don't know. Well, hear what? I now understand why Trinidad and Tobago in some problems, you know. Because my boy finds some PNM supporters. Watch. Run it, Archie.
How do you feel about Dr. Keith Rowley recently winning the gold at the 2023 Olympics in the senior swimming category? How do you feel about that?
Caribbean man image, proud.
And why you win that? Because he's our boss.
He's a
He's a boss.
Yeah.
I'm a prime minister.
Come now, man.
No, that man I've voted for years.
Look at that. Look at that.
No, nobody can. I'm a choice.
That's your choice.
Well, you when it's already, I feel like it when it's again.
All right. How you felt when you heard the news? Dr. Keith Rowley won himself the 2023 Olympics gold medal senior swimming category.
Very proud. I know people from Trinidad don't win gold, so
Look at that. So you felt proud about him? Yeah?
I hope he win our next one.
All right,
He should
all right.
enter again.
You should have done it.
Yes.
All right.
What do you want me to say? All best wishes to him. All best wishes to him. I'm glad for him. You understand? Winning that goal, that is a big move.
I'm telling you. Do you think he has it in him to win an Olympic gold again in the senior swimming category again?
Why not?
Okay.
As long as you have it in him,
Yes.
it's strength and endurance, you know.
Okay. How you felt when you heard that news about the gold that he brought home to Trinidad and Tobago?
I jump off my bed.
Look at that. Okay.
I jump off my bed with a big spliff in my hand.
Oh, Lord. All right. That's what we talking about. I like that, man. I mean, the persuade.
You know, I laugh till I cry. But then I really end up crying, eh? No joke, you know. While that is kicks, it's very sad. And that is part of the reason why Keith Rowley, the most unethical, immoral scumbucket in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, could stand up on a platform and tell all about he checking the integrity of police officers and he talking about fighting corruption when he go into the parliament in front of all your open eyes and all your open ears and he got procurement legislation. The legislation is there to protect your money. Rowley got it and weaken it and crumble it so that them could thief. And you all say, yes, he's a corruption buster. That's why he win the Olympic senior in 2023. It had no Olympics. It had no senior. And it had no senior swimming in no Olympics. Plus, Rowley can't flipping swimming from Tobago and he go drown. He playing golf and he can't play golf. You know them say they want him win the next one too. Now you understand why some people vote PNM. That the man prime minister that who are voting for all the time. I have no choice. Well, people, we have a choice. We have to be very serious. As we talking serious, Darren Ganga and Dinanath Ramnarayan, they say they have to pay some $1 million because the judge fined. Let me break it down for you. Yeah? Darren Ganga and Dinanath Ramnarayan were fighting for democracy, fighting for fairness, propriety, righteousness. Election is election. But the Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board Constitution says that the incumbent, whoever they may be, that when the election bell ring, them start off with 12 votes. Meaning, the 12 officers that were duly elected and served their term, them could vote first, and then everybody else could vote, and the race is to 25 or 26 or something, right? But they start off at 12. You know, a judge in Trinidad and Tobago say that you cannot really say with a sense of certainty that the incumbents will vote for themselves, and therefore there is no inherent unfairness in the process. Now, if all you could understand, and let me tell you something, Judge, that make no sense. And if all you read that, you all have to be clueless. So a team that they want to go to an election, and a new team coming in have to start at 0. But the incumbents who was there, and them caucus, and them have a slate, them getting 12 votes for the new term, you know. And the judge says, in all their whoever wisdom, that makes sense and that process is fair, because you could not really tell, because the incumbent. So if you have Basarat and about 11 of them who Basarat put there and they come to vote, the judge say, well, there is a possibility that Basarat wouldn't vote for himself, so that you can't really say they start off with an advantage of 12. That had to be the most asinine logic I've ever heard. As we talking that, I see in the newspapers here a picture of Anthony Terrence Harris, who died on the 7th of October 2022. He's a photographer for the newspaper. This is a gentleman who was riding his bike along the savannah, around President's house, and a hit and run accident, somebody killed he. And up to now, we don't know who it is. In the most secure area, around that area, have President's house and Rowley Palace. The most important offices of Trinidad and Tobago, and no CCTV footage that could show who bounced down, licked down, and killed this gentleman, this citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, up to now. All right? But condolences to his family and friends. We'll go and give out some more ticket, girl. Fix your eyebrow, put some eyelash that Skerrit say you shouldn't put on, no fake eyelash, and go and hand out some tickets, eh? You know what? To all the people who got killed and, you know, bullet grazed them, and those bandits who run up in people's house and people were traumatized and so on. Let me tell you, girl, when you finish praying and sipping your tea and you went to check for license and insurance, that just sent a shot of adrenaline and confidence through the entire population earlier. You dress up in your fatigues, look like you're going out in the bush to look for license, insurance. You know, that sent confidence throughout the population earlier. So you keep doing that. We now feel safe. That boy, earlier find somebody driving without the insurance. Well done, girl. Good, Archie. You see that? Well, me and him want to go into the next thing. Archie say, careful, the camera saw who do it. And that's why we don't know who do it. Well, me I know about that. I don't know if you know, right? But condolences to my brother, family there. Garbage for weeks. All they want to vote? What's licensing office? What's that? Woodbrook, Wrightson Road. Weeks. Right? And the PNM say yes, they need to take your property tax to pick up that. You see, the $60 billion, the $500 trillion that they spend in 8 years, they don't have enough money to pay to pick up that. So what they need to do now is to come into your pocket, dig out and scrape out your leg, and the 25 cents you have inside of there, take it from you so that they could pick up the garbage. That's local government reform. Vote for PNM. They're coming to tax you, man. No word on borough status. Superior chairman in the dark. Superior Regional Corporation chairman Dinesh Sankar Singh said he is yet to be notified of the corporation gaining borough status. Speaking during a news conference on Tuesday, Sankar Singh said he has received no official word. The office of the chairman has not been given anything official from the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government, from the permanent secretary, from the minister, about being an official borough corporation. Yeah, but they go Martin have up sign and Rowley out borough corporation and all kind of thing. What it really means anyway, but that's just to show you the superficial nature of the PNM, who truly believe that citizens of the Republic, all of us, including me, that we are dotish and we are stupid, and that they are the bright ones. Eh? Gadsby Dolly. Archie, you ain't had that one? All right. Gadsby Dolly, I'll just tell you all because I saw it, and you know I don't lie on them bundles and them. Gadsby Dolly said on a PNM platform, you cannot find a councillor, whether PNM or UNC, who is happy with how local government is performing, with the lack of resources and so on. There's not one councillor, whether PNM or UNC in Trinidad and Tobago, who is happy with how local government is functioning. She said that on a platform dressed in red, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be clear. The way local government works now and has worked for the last decades is that the government, the central government, the prime minister, who is Keith Rowley, who appoints his cabinet, they are in charge of all your money, all your tax revenue, all your money. The treasury is them own. And they will decide how much goes to local government. So, all Rowley and the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Faris Al-Rawi, have to do, if they like local government, if they want to serve local government, if they want to treat you well and make sure your roads are good and your recreation grounds and no mosquito biting you and you're not busting your tire in pothole and municipal police are paid and you're getting your water and things organized and garbage is collected on time, all Keith Rowley has to do out of your money, $60 billion on average, is give a chunk to local government. That's all they have to do. Nothing else. Did you all hear me? If you need $100 million in Port of Spain to make sure garbage is collected, roads are seen about, drains, box drains are made, people are paid, municipal police on the beat so that crime is down, mosquitoes get sprayed, recreation grounds get trimmed and maintained. If you need $100 million, all it takes is for Keith Rowley to say, yes, approved in the cabinet. $100 million for Port of Spain Corporation, $200 million for Sangre Grande, $70 million for Diego Martin, $80 million for Princess Town Regional Corporation, $50 million for Cuba Tabakit, $100 million for the people of Tunapuna Piaku. That's all that has to happen. The fact that it is not happening means that Rowley don't care about you. He's not giving any money to you. He have to pay Alawi rent. He have to pay Franklin Can wife rent. He have to pay Noel Gas. He have to build Skinner Park and put cheap seats. He have to have Commonwealth Games and spend $100 million on nonsense. He have to pay rent and so he have to borrow money from Stuart Smallpin Young brother company and pay X amount of interest over 18 years. He have to build a administration health administration office complex. He had to buy CCTV cameras with procurement where they had a glitch and the next company come in late and the late company win. He have to do that. So what the PNM is talking about is that you need to reform from the PNM, from the heartless nature. Let me put it this way. I'm trying to break it down as simply as I can for you. If the entire budget is $60 billion, do you know that Keith Rowley can allocate $60 billion to local government and forget everything else? He could forget Ministry of Works and Transport. He could forget education. He could forget sport if he wanted to. I want you to understand, Keith Rowley, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet can do what they want. You have $60 billion. You want local government, you could give them all the money so that everybody, all 14 corporations, share up that. They get about 4 point something billion each, and everybody's seen about. They could do that. So for the PNM to come and say that not a councillor is happy, no resources, for Rowley to say he is the MP of Diego Martin West, but the acting Prime Minister is Diego Martin Northeast, and the nosebreaker that they find from somewhere, the dons who couldn't get in Fatima but had to get in on a special list and couldn't get into Form 6 Fatima because he's so stupid, but at least he does admit that he dotage. They have 3 MPs plus the entire corporation, all 10 seat burgesses plus chairman, everything is PNM. And Rowley say he had to build his own wall and fix his own drain because Diego Martin Corporation didn't have resources. Diego Martin Corporation does not have resources because Keith Rowley, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, did not approve in a Cabinet note any resources for Diego Martin Corporation. So don't let them come and talk about reform. What is reform and property tax? So they're coming to say, do you see the $60 billion? We want that because we want to choose where we want to spend that. So if you all want to see about yourself, then vote for the PNM and the PNM will tax you more. So you will dip your finger for the PNM and then take out your wallet and say, PNM, how much more a month you want for property tax? How much? $400 a month? Oh Lord, by 12, like 4,800. Here PNM, thank you. Wait. Let me make sure to vote for you. Okay, PNM. And then let me hand you my wallet. That is what the PNM is telling you. And then hear this next one. This one is the Minister of Puya. This one is the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development. When I tell you, children, say no to drugs. Stay off the growth hormones, stay off the steroids. It affects your brain. When I tell all of that, children, stay off the tight clothes. The oxygen, your brain, your body needs oxygen to really function normally. So when you wear cap suit in Toko and thing, you just get stupid. Stop wearing the tight clothes because this is what happens. Run it.
But when you're getting pressure with your car and your tire fall in a hole so deep as mine did going up on the north coast, as I started in rural community of Brasso Seco last weekend, and day by day I'll be on the ground all over Trinidad and Tobago. You tell me what excuse we can give to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
I'm not sure if you all heard. That is the PNM Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, who is stating proudly, with passion, that the roads and the potholes are so devastatingly deep and damaging his car and all. One of his 3 Porsche, I don't know which one, because he sell 2 one time and the Integrity Commissioner investigate, police not interested. He transfer one, a check that come through that didn't have no stamp on it until printed in the media. But this man who is in charge of the government, who was the Attorney General in the government, the PNM is there for 8 years. They are telling you, ladies and gentlemen, we failed, we are incompetent, we suck, we are dotish, we have spent out 500 billion of your dollars and everything is bad. The roads are the worst. But y'all, come on, what can I tell you? We need more money from you, property tax, in order that I wouldn't bust my tire in that big hole down in Brasso. That's what the PNM actually play that once more. And people understand, I don't know what's wrong with the people. Listen to these PNM, them in charge, run it.
But when you're getting pressure with your car and your tire fall in a hole so deep as mine did going up on the north coast, as I started in rural community of Brasso Seco last weekend, and day by day I'll be on the ground all over Trinidad and Tobago. You tell me what excuse we can give to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
So he is saying he spent $500 trillion and everything is in total collapse. And he is saying it's your fault, that you need to pay more tax so that you could give them. Now he done collect about 46 million in rent for his own building that his cabinet approved when he went out to sip a tea with Ola, right? And also they took $38 million of your money that could have fixed that pothole that he went down in Brasso Seco. 38 million to outfit his building for him to then rent it to himself for 23 million by 2 over 6 years. That's what PNM is telling you. But look at the potholes. Actually show the country what these people are doing with your money. No human being in Diego Martin should vote PNM. No human being in Port of Spain should vote PNM. No human being in San Juan Lavanti Corporation should vote PNM. No human being in Tunapuna Piaco Regional Corporation should vote PNM. No human being in Sangre Grande Corporation should vote PNM. They are saying they need to reform from themselves, from their heartlessness, from their callousness, from their lack of implementation and allocation of resources to you, the people. But Rowley told you that before. He said wean yourself off the government. Now he telling you wean yourself off the government, but pay more to the government to wean yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot make this up. Y'all come on, man. We are bright, brilliant, intelligent people. We cannot have that. What is wrong with y'all? Do you all understand what these people are telling you? Rowdy is telling you that you don't deserve services, and his actions have shown that he cut children life fund, he cut medicine, he cut school feeding, he cut grant, he cut this differently able grant, he cut pension, he slowed down payments to pension, doing flooding nothing, he cut agriculture, he cut sport, he cut MIC, NESC, he cut school funding, he cut UTT, he cut COSTAT, he cut everything to deal with people, he cut PANMAN, he cut culture, he cut everything and wean yourself and then telling you, vote for me because we have to reform and this is why local government don't work. You all have to pay property tax and we will fix it. You all seriously? I see my boy McNish. Hey, he have a compilation. I telling all you for years, I feel they should put together a compilation to tell you that when they come to tell you UNC and PNM is the same, run them. Because Jack Warner and Suraj Ratan Rambachan had roads smooth under Kamla Prasad Bisasa. Jack Warner and Ganga Singh, their ministries focus together, and Ganga Singh Public Utilities will say Jack Warner are going to change out pipe in this area, that area, that area, that area. And then Jack Warner would say, right, as you done dig up and fix the pipe and you test and so on, 10 days later, we come in and pave down smooth. So no more dig up when Wasa, no more Wasa come to dig up your nice paved road and so on. That's how Kamla Prasad Bisasa had it managed with teamwork, getting value for money. I tell all you that this PNM under Rohan Sinanan Rowley Al-Rawi, the Puya man, is the worst the roads have ever been. Not only me, Alexander tell you all kind of thing. Remind them actually because now Al-Rawi is admitting the roads are the worst in history because he and all went down in a crater. Run it.
Watch going on there. You don't know where to drive. Watch. This is how Rohan Sinanan and the PNM, oh God, are the country. I nearly lost my car here. Oh God, oh God, oh God.
Yeah, morning people are just highlighting a little hole here. My Bamatel corner, or you can see the financial complex. My brother dark passing some pipeline below there. They doing I don't know. But I just highlighting this hole for the rifle I told you to come and see about it quick.
Wasa came and fixed the pothole in the road yesterday in Alec Terrace, Bagatelle, Diego Martin. So I have to tell you and all thank you.
That's what they do. McNish says, expert shares perspectives on HR, industrial relations. McNish, Courtney McNish, CARICOM, CSME objectives have not been achieved. Mr. McNish, with all due respect, we don't hear nothing from you other than we want to hear your perspectives on the collapse of the Police Service Commission of which you were a part. A Police Service Commission that went through its work, came up with a merit list and a ranking, decided on the ranking, signed off on it, the majority of the Police Service Commission of which you were a member, and you send that list with the chairman to the President of the Republic. That list was withdrawn unilaterally by the chairman, Blissy Prasad. You just resigned and gone quiet. So me ain't interested in your perspective on nothing. Because your perspective is needed on the collapse of the Police Service Commission, the thwarting of the merit list, the lack of a commissioner of police in this country for a period of 7 months, and then the appointment of Tojam and now T-Lady Praying Erla, who gone to do photo op by checking insurance and license, and murders skyrocketed last year. to 614, and we're on the same pace this year with bloodshed, home invasions, crime, battery, robbery. The whole country is in a mess. So, sir, we don't want to hear about CSME. We don't want to hear about no other perspective. We want to hear about the collapse of the Police Service Commission that has our citizens dying, living in fear, and guns, bandits running and controlling this country. Until you want to share the perspective on what took place there, and what is your opinion, and what happened, and what caused the breaking of the law by the president who did not adhere to the Constitution, Section 123(4), we don't want to hear nothing from you, boss. That's what we want to hear. You understand? So ride out. No ambulances. 12-year-old dead because the ambulance didn't reach. A 3-year-old dead in Matlock because the ambulance didn't reach. But somebody get a contract from the PNM for $610 million to provide ambulance service. The Senator David Nackett was on the scene of an accident yesterday, and over 4 hours, it took 2.5 hours for the ambulance to reach. Police and firemen had to try the best. A dangerous accident. And the ambulance reached 2.5 hours later. This child could have been alive if the ambulance arrived. A 12-year-old boy from Princestown could have been alive if the ambulance arrived. What does Convent Girl have to say about it? Anything? Or are you looking for monkeypox? I hear they had a 3rd case of monkeypox. 3 man. Hey, you better watch out in Parliament when Minister Amanda's be that monkeypox, so they be very careful, right, Colin? But that little Hilux crew you have up in Parliament, them man and them now. You and Patrick Ferreira in the Jeep, how close, or let us sit down and think with the Minister Man, because you find the Minister Man in all your little tight, intimate circle. All you don't spread no monkeypox, second. Widow to sue Massey and Nikwan after her husband's fatal accident. Yes, and sue the PNM, and sue Alison do diligence, and sue Stuart Smallpin Young, and sue Franklin Khan Estate, and sue Kate Rowley also. Convent Girl say we #1 in the world. Well, Convent Girl, look, some of your supporters, some of your voters calling for you in your hospital, boy. The best hospital. Rowley saying the Commonwealth, our healthcare system is the best. Convent Girl, look, your PNM supporters calling you from in the hospital. Run it.
Anybody out there in social media, have 2 patients here coming in an accident. A man running to the back of the car while they was parked by a red light, mash up the back of the car. Both of us in the hospital. We on the hardwood, whatever gurney they call it. Up to now we can't see the x-ray. What we want to do is get the x-ray because we have a lot of pain. I don't know if it's a clot but in my system. I don't know what it is going on the inside. The driver, she don't know what it is going on the inside either. We just need some assistance, please. We want to get the x-ray. We're going through a lot of pain here. My waist is burning, it is on fire. My chest burning. It's hurting. We need help and nobody is telling us nothing, you know. I don't think it is an unreasonable question to ask. Why it's taking so long to get an x-ray? I don't think it is unreasonable to ask that. So I'm putting us out there, whoever could help. We're in Mount Hope. We're at Mount Hope right now. So whoever could assist, just please assist. Terrence, they are saying, do something for me. Do something for me, Terrence. It's me and Kosi. We're at Mount Hope. Please. We're at Mount Hope. Hours now we lying down here, we can't get the x-ray. And nobody is telling me is either the radiologist not there or the x-ray machine not working. I'm not getting any feedback. As a matter of fact, I am being ignored and I am not giving any trouble. I wait 4 hours then to ask the question why. They just have us here. So do something for us, please. We're looking for assistance, help.
Convent Girl is in Kosi, your boy you support her. No regular. He know your convent girl. He calling you. He patiently waiting 4 hours. He could be bleeding to death. He rape could have cut his lungs. He could be internally bleeding. He could be mashed up. 4 hours lying on a hard thing. Can't get an X-ray, convent girl. Nakosi calling you. You didn't answer your phone. How you and Nakosi going on Facebook? All you out there understand what PNM is. The man in Nakosi, no convent girl good. He can public campaign and help convent girl win the seat. And look what happened. That is what PNM is. Heartless, they don't care. Make universal access to quality, reliable water an election issue. Guardian newspaper, the Guardian of Rowley K-Pax. Really, Guardian? Well, yes, it should have been an issue all the time. And it is an issue, but you now realize it's an issue. So when in 2014, 74% of Trinbagonians were getting a 24/7 water supply in the tap, in the house. And then now it's down to less than 10%. And in February, we got the truth out of the WASA people in the Joint Select Committee that it was 16% or so on. 16%, Guardian, PNM, 16%, Rowley, 16%, Minister Man, 16%, Kamla, 74%, Ganga Singh, 74%. Up here, it's an election issue, Guardian, but Guardian Media Limited is PNM, and you all try to push nonsense and try to make people vote wrong. It is an issue. Kamla, UNC, water. PNM, dry tap, mud. Even the Cuban boy can't wash his clothes. Remind them of the Joint Select Committee where I catch the Wasa lady and she, well, nice, she's honest, she will call public servant. She tell the truth, run it.
What is finally, what is the percentage, sir, right now of the population receiving a 24/7 supply in their homes from WASA?
Sorry for that question, the Director of Operations.
Current Chair, the percentage of the population currently receiving 24/7 level of service is at 16%.
At 16%. And final question from Mr. Shepherd. So if we are losing 40 to 50 to 55% of potable water per month, why is it a plan of WASA to increase supply rather than fix the distribution network? It appears that the supply is fantastic, but that the distribution throws away 50%. So what you need to do is stop throwing away the 50%, and then the supply will be satisfactory.
As I said, that was estimated by consultants. But there is a plan of it to repair the leaks and bring it down. But personally, through my 34 years of experience in this company, that as the other member said, I don't believe that repairing all the leaks will satisfy the demand, the growing demand for water in this country.
So you all heard it. So Guardian Media Limited editorial, yes, water, critical. That is an election issue. It should always be. But when you have a corrupt PNM mass media, you all don't print the truth. So let me tell the people the truth. Under Ganga Singh and Kamla, 74% of you, the citizens, in 2014 were getting a 24/7 supply in your pipes, in your house. In February, it was 16%, February 2023. Now, with all the leaks and the mashup mains and the Tucker Valley now, it's down to under 10%. All of you know it. Water shedding and sharing and load shedding and all kind of stupidness like it's electricity. The PNM is totally incompetent. And according to the Guardian, water must be an election issue. Therefore, the Guardian is saying, vote UNC. Let me just make sure. And even in Laventille, where the PNM says that they could do you what they want, and you will always vote PNM. Look at what happened in Laventille. Run it.
In this day and age, what should they do to Laventille people, man?
That gentleman, the clean potable water flowing down a drain through a leak, he collecting that to take that home, to wash, to boil it, to cook, to prepare for his children and his family. But you want me to say, Laventille is PNM, die hard. Even a clown like Fitzgerald, Ethelbert, Narcolepsy, Sleepy, Sativa, Bodybag, Hines will get 10,000 votes in Laventille. What you want me to say with my nice jersey from Print Ideas in Claxton Bay? Eh? What's again? Watch, more what? Let's watch. Service disruption. Service disruption to customers served by Tucker Valley. Yes, Minister Man, the Water and Sewage Authority advises customers in parts of Northwest Trinidad served by Tucker Valley pumping station who are currently experiencing an interruption in their supply. Now this is due to an electrical problem at the facility. Yes, there's always some problem, but we don't get no supply anyway all in the North Bay. We just get water 2 hours a day to fill up tank, but that's all right. And remember, this same Minister Man, when at Mount Hope electricity went, and they say patients were moved from the ICU at Mount Hope because electricity went, and they were transported from the ICU at Mount Hope to the hospital in Arima. But Convent Girls said no one was in danger, no harm done. Now think about that for a moment. You in ICU, you know, you don't have a little fever and a cold with Panadol lying down on a bed. You in ICU with life-saving tube and thing connect up all of you fighting for your life. Think something in your air working good. Electricity gone. And them had to come, unplug all them thing, pull out tube out your mouth and thing, roll you, put you in a thing, carry you in an ambulance, drive you 20 miles up the road and take you out, pull you, put you in a bed, hook back thing down in your throat and thing. And they say that's no problem. No harm, no foul. Well, all right, if all you vote for that, what do you want me to say? And then the Minister Man come to say, well, it was a transformer that blew on the compound of the hospital. Therefore, that's not a T&Tech issue. That's an internal issue. But I don't know where we find this bag of dunce, you know. So let me ask you something, Mr. Minister Man. The transformer, who is allowed and authorized to go and fix it? Anybody? So the caretaker can go and try to fix a transformer? Or the transformer is T&Tech transformer and T&Tech have to go and service it, fix it, change it or whatever. So it is a T&Tech problem, not because it's a transformer in the hospital. It's not T&Tech, you dumb. Listen to me. Minister Man, you're focusing too much on the wrong thing. You're focusing too much on Eclipse Eli and what suit he have and what suit he go measure you for and all of that. Come out of Colminbot Place there on Picton Street and behave and do your work. You're concentrating on too much thing, boy. Too much horseback riding that you're not serving the people. If you want to ride back, come out and the people walk, boy. You're embarrassing yourself, your family, the country. You're a disgrace, Minister Man. Moving on. Transport sector in crisis. Commuters stuck for traffic, for hours in traffic. With that PNM, you expect them to come up with a concept to help ease you? Nah, man. Pay them more property tax to sit down in traffic. Penny Beckles, like you, the PNM rub off on you and all. Penny, Arima is in the worst state that it has ever been in. Even Ashton Ford, your former mayor and your PNM General Secretary, I think bad talking the PNM indirectly, saying that Arima Sports Club, Sports Grounds, Arima is in a total state of decay. Penny Beckles, you really went on Facebook and attacked citizens? You really learning from Rowley, Penelope Beckles? Why you don't do more video of you cleaning fish or walking up, doing some bois, doing a stick dance or some kind of stupidness that people get to like you? Go up. You go see Penny somewhere coming there. Citizens, are talking on a public forum of a member of parliament. Check Penny Beckers. Ronald Bax, you seem a bit mistaken or clueless of what you speak. Keep your empty comments to yourself. Penny Beckers is very arrogant. These are citizens, these are voters. Put up the next one, next one. You gone on like Rowley to berate citizens on Facebook. Penny Beckers. Bennett Thomas, oh yes it is. But the work to serve the people continue. Oh Lord, Penny, English is not your forte. You a lawyer? Continues, lady. It's a petty. You're so you mean pity? You're so blinded by the party you follow. You have not seen the work I have been doing for Arima for the past 3 years. But rest assured, you're Penelope Beckers, you serious? Something wrong with you? You are linguistically challenged? Good PNM healthcare can help that. Oh, and you're accusing the man and making fun of someone's mental health. Mental health issues are a funny thing these days. Penelope Beckers. Move that now, Penny Beckers. Let me tell you something. Shame on you, woman. Like Rowley rubbing off on you. Like you walk down the steps past the tree dog, the parrot, and end up on the red couch. How you rub up? But what madness is this? Those are citizens of the republic. You are a member of parliament. You want to serve them. They could cuss you. They could shout you. They could tell you what they want. They pay you. You work for them. Who you feel you are? Arena is the worst ever. You who do nothing. You have time to buff up citizens. And Penny, go and take a little extra time instead of cleaning fish and doing boah and thing. Go and take some English classes. Call your grammar teacher. You're writing on a public forum like that, embarrassing yourself, sounding and looking like a dunce. Penelope Beckers, you serious? I don't even want to talk to you up on this show. You are irrelevant, but like you gone through too. You get Rowley rub off on you because you have hairstyle. Oh yes it is. But the work to serve the people continue. Yeah boy. Children, do not write like Penelope Beckers, okay? Do not write that in your essay. You will fail. Schools for migrants, says the PNM, but they discuss nothing with nobody because they just coming to fling out thing. But it come to fling it out now. Why? You know who told them that years ago? Kamla Prasad Bisesa was talking about that years ago, while the PNM was just playing games with human beings. Like, remind them when Kamla said it.
You gave them license to stay in Trinidad and Tobago. So before I talk about Young and Venezuela, I want to talk about the plight of the migrant children who are here. It is about time we allow these children to enter our public school system to get an education. I am calling on government to let these children get an education, let them go to school. When our people go abroad, what happens? They get to go to school. It is not their fault. They are not criminals. In the US, in the UK and elsewhere, they are allowed to go to school. And we should do the same. We should allow these children fleeing Maduro to get an education. So I'm extending it to say any migrant child here, not just the Venezuelans, any migrant child in Trinidad, no matter nationality, should be allowed to enter school, kindergarten, primary, secondary come September when the schools reopen. We have 3 weeks to the new term. That is enough time to get them registered and allow them to get requisite inoculations, vaccinations, and so on as they may need. So I'm calling on civil society, and in fact I want to thank civil society. I want to thank the CBOs. I want to thank the FBOs, the faith-based organizations, all these organizations who run schools, who've been trying to support the migrants and so on. We want to thank them and to ask them again to continue to do as much as they can. But I say to the government,
right. And a year later now, the PNM just threw out that, but didn't discuss or didn't talk to anybody, do not have the mechanisms in place to actually make it happen, because all they're about is grabbing a headline. But again, they have to listen to Kamla Prasad Bisesa. The UNC is leading the way. The PNM can come up with not an idea of their own. The only idea they could come up with is to try to take money from you and spend it without procurement and then say, hey boy, we make a mistake. not a mistake. You break the law, you acted in a criminal manner, and then come into the parliament to try to say, well, we broke the law, but let we unbreak the law because we in charge. But Kamla Prasad Bisesa is running the government for the PNM. As we talk that, listen to Gadsby Dolly on the hair issue now, not my ball head. Remember the hair issue in Trinity College? Listen to her now. And this don't sound different to her initial position. Listen, help me out, run it.
I want us to understand, this is not just about a hairstyle, you know. It's deeper than a hairstyle. It's about our burgeoning identity as a nation. We are 61 years young, but we are maturing as a society. We are getting older. We are questioning the norms that we hold as a society, and that is the maturing process. We are doing what we're supposed to do. We are questioning the rules, and we are looking at our nation and our ability to make our rules for ourselves. And nothing is wrong with that. And that's why this conversation is much deeper than just a hairstyle. It forces us to reflect on the fact that in many areas, the time has come for reform. The time...
Well, Gadsby Dolly, you have matured in 2 weeks. Because your initial position was, rules is rules and the children must follow the damn rules and they have to listen to the teachers and die the rule. That was your position, wasn't it, Archie? Run it and remind me. Because I think I had to tell her what would be the correct position that she now understands. Run it.
Doubles and coffee. Young black men with their hairstyles natural and neat. Going to a Trinity College, a proud black institution, to celebrate their brilliance on graduation, their intelligence, their creativity, their diligence, their stick-to-itiveness, their ability to take pressure and do exams and succeed. And the PNM Minister of Education, Gadsby Dolly, says that these young men with the African hairstyles, neat, perfect, pristine, not a hair out of place, that the school rules to banish them and turn their day of celebration into one of disgrace, degradation, and disrespect. Rules are rules. Rules are not rules, Gadsby Dolly. Stupid rules are stupid rules. You who does pretend that you does wear more of your drapes and thing to play you is African. You who does go by the hairdresser and bundle after bundle come in the parliament and they had to make 2 seats for you to fit your so-called African garb. You are fraudulent. You are a fake African. You come to say that young black boys celebrating their graduation and greatness, what we need in this country, exemplars to move forward. You come to say that the school was right for enforcing rules. What is the rule? That a black African hairstyle is illegal, illegitimate, bad, connotates negativity. That's the rule. Well, then the rule is an ass. The rule is wrong. Those who made the rule are oppressive. And you as the PNM Minister of Education who claim black man thing, you come to support the wrong thing. The courts have ruled already, whether religious, ethnic, whatever garb, that it is legal and legitimate for these young black fellas to have their brilliant, amazing, neat, well put together. It probably took hours for them to look so neat and respectable, to be denigrated and disrespected by the Trinity College and by you, the Minister of Education, the worst Minister of Education in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, who pretends that she is...
That was Gadsby Dolly, and you believe that woman come on the platform with a straight face and talking to you? Well, it's deeper issue. It's serious. You know, it's time to move forward. We have moved away from the archaic rule. Really? These PNM are so dishonest. It is unbelievable. But she looked just like Rowley there. Because Rowley could lie so brilliantly that even if you know every fact that he is saying, that he is telling untruths, Rowley would deliver a lie so effectively, he will cause you to believe it. Look at Gadsby Dolly, like Rowley rub off on she. on the red couch. Answer McCall to invest million in Jamaica operations. Answer McCall, first is Grenada, now is Jamaica. So Answer McCall, Guardian Media Limited, put us under Rowley and the PNM, the incompetence for 8 years, shatter our economy, but he have money to invest in other people's economy that don't have PNM, but he not investing extra year. Grenada, X amount of million systems factory. Now Jamaica, he got Kingston. The TT-based regional conglomerate Answer McCall Group of companies says it will now be investing more than 150 million Jamaican dollars, right, in its operations in Jamaica this year as part of the management strategic trust to improve the entity's efficiency and profitability. While you have shattered our country by giving us the PNM, Mr. Anthony Norman Sabga III, shame on you, boy. You keep your Guardian Media Limited, keep your PNM, and fire burn you, boy. Move in. Economists, we need to exit the junk rating, but Coleman but boasting that in the junk rating, we move from negative to stable. Yeah, well done, Colm. That's like running 100 meters as a man in the Olympics and say, boy, my best time is 11.01. I run 10.99. Young and Shell discuss dragon gas in Canada. Young, you're still fighting on this dragon gas? A year nearly gone out of the 2-year amnesty that the USA give you, even though Blinken come in your Blinken country and tell you that Maduro playing the fool by locking up opposition people and that there's no cash. Maduro say he want cash. You have no cash. All you're going and spending money going up to the USA, you and Rowley, like two tout on the steps of the Congress. Now you're going Canada to talk dragon gas that don't exist with Shell. Energy Minister Stuart Young met with the Executive Vice President of LNG at Shell, Cedric Creamers, during an energy conference in Canada. So dragon gas, that's all them studying. If Rowley studying this dragon gas thing so much, what all you feel Rowley to study? The only thing Rowley does study, the only thing Rowley care about, what is that? What Noel Garcia does get to spend, bill everything. Why? Because all Rowley studying is your money. That is all. And how to spend it, how to get it, how to keep it, how to put a web of corruption around it with interlocking directorships, with Noel Garcia spending everything. Newman George on 7 boards, Ingrid Lashley on 9 boards, his AA Kwamina in charge of Heritage, because Heritage had Petrotrin and it had fake oil, and where the evidence gone? Refinery closed. Now AA, all your Trinidad and Tobago, AA Kwamina, Rowley's personal attorney who's in charge of Heritage, he say, we had a formal presentation, we had a formal system for bids for the refinery now. Your assets that operated since 1908, Trinidad and Tobago, a proud oil producing refining country since 1908. Here the PNM position now. All you make an offer now. All you buy nuts from me now. All you make an offer for me now. My refinery now. That what you all feel is joke I making? Yeah? That is the PNM position now. All you come make an offer. So just like Nikon, they give the PNM boy Gil, and then due diligence jump off and go on that board. Your assets worth over 100 million US, 150 million US for 10 million US, and 25 million in preference shares. The shares worth 0 now, so 10 million US. For 150 million worth of your assets. Now the PNM is saying, hey, you make an offer. So let me say a man who do a dance bareback, so make an offer 10 million and take your whole refinery. Because disposal of assets is not under the procurement legislation gutted by Rowley. It was there under Kamla when Kamla passed it to protect your assets, to protect your money, to reduce the opportunity for those who want to steal. Kamla put a tough legislation in place. Rowley come and water it down, and tomorrow go into Parliament to water it down more because he finally leave one lock too much. It had too much luck on top of some of the money. He want to take all. He want to spend all. He want to give who he want all. Energy update. What's this picture? Looking like Trinidad and Tobago. Something going on in Guardian media trying to give the impression by picture that the energy sector is lighted up. Where's that, Nikwan? Why didn't just blow it up and put a real picture? Hey, Archie, put up some images there from USA Today. What is this? This is USA Today. This is not a local newspaper. Leveling up to utilities. Look, Kamal George's girl day, TSTT. Look, the worst chairman of WASA, Nanga. Put there, you have other ones? Show them, man. Trinidad and Tobago, powering to the next level, man. Keith Rowley with Biden. Yes, man. And then look, Minister of Man and Small Pin, embracing innovation through collaboration. How much Trinidad and Tobago come to me? How much the PNM, NGC, you know, Lochan, you know, the man, Mark Loquan, you know, the man who spent $233 million of your dollars flushed down the toilet and that, you know, and 220, so $453 million of your dollars disappeared because of stupidity of Mark Loquan. PNM pay for a whole spread in USA Today. How much you feel they pay for that? Why they pay for that? Who money they use to pay for that? And y'all can't get your pothole fixed? Y'all can't get flood relief? Y'all can't get grants? You can't get fuel subsidy? Watch the road, delivering improved transport connectivity, a whole thing, page after page after page. In the USA Today, you know? All right. Another setback for Paria Commission of Inquiry final report. Let me tell you something. Some people were getting worried and so on. You know, why is this report on the divers delayed? Let me tell you. I was worried about whoever the PNM appoint. And when they appointed Mr. Jerome Lynch, King's Counsel, I was skeptical. But having seen that gentleman operate, I realized that he is a professional. He has integrity, and nobody, no Small Pin, no Rowley, is going to interfere with his legacy and how he's brought up and how he's going to do his job. So when he says that it's a delay, it has nothing to do with the election and so on. He is correct. He is stating that whatever findings he has and recommendations, if there are accusations or leaning towards any individual that could lead to criminal prosecution or investigations and so on, that you must give that person an opportunity to respond to the conclusions. So don't get frightened. He's doing the correct thing. All right? So let the man do his thing. PNM out of timing like Small Pin. Everything in this country is not functioning because the PNM is out of timing. Watch the PNM. This signifies PNM.
For the PNM, right foot, balize, left foot, balize. Everybody just do the balize. Everybody just do the balize. Right foot, balize, left foot, balize. Everybody just do the balize. The new dance is called the balize. Them other party can't test. PNM is pure happiness. Them deliver all the promises. Integrity at its finest. New dance, balize, just do it. New dance, balize, just do it. Red flag, red rag, just show it. Red rag, red flag, just show it.
Asha Javid, I really want to commend you. Because for you to be able to lay down and horizontally dance with that out of timing, man, takes a lot of skill. Whatever he give you, whatever you get, whatever you like, whatever things that he could give you, you really deserve it. Because for any woman to be able to go with that out of timing thing in any form of fashion, you have to be good, girl. I'll give you that. Bakery chain to maintain prices. Now Keith Rowley tried to ball, jump out. Rowley doesn't understand. I think he's a complete blithering idiot, you know. Rowley jump out and say, well, why the price of doubles and go down? Because flour went down. Well, listen to this. Prices of bread, pastries and desserts will remain the same at Linda's Bakery despite the country's major flour producers lowering the cost of their products. Peter George, the owner of the 63-year-old bakery operating in 15 locations in Trinidad, said its supplier, the National Flour Mills, NFM, did not notify commercial bakeries of any adjustment in flour prices. Commercial bakeries use large sacks of flour, which were not subjected to price adjustments. Keith Rowley, you blithering idiot. But when we listen to Rudal Munilal in our presser on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, listen very carefully. The PNM has no platform. They spent $500 trillion of your money in 8 years, and they cannot come and tell you, we did this, we did that, we did this, we gave you that, we improved that. They can't say that. Because all they did was make sure a web of corruption, interlocking directorates, no corporate governance, no procurement, one man spending out all the money and all the money going left, right and center towards Balize House. That's what they did. But you see, that doesn't benefit you. So what the PNM came to tell you is that, look, 3 UNC go on and join the PNM. Now, first and foremost, they say all the UNC ain't good, but then they celebrate and grab up any dregs of UNC that come across. Why did they go across? Well, we found out that one of them get a check for $550,000 to go across by the PNM. Do you understand this? But Rudal Munilal dealt with it in a very serious manner on this Sunday press conference. Come in, Munilal.
You know, we had a situation a few weeks ago where Mrs. Prasad Bisesa and others highlighted that a gentleman by the name of Ian Leonard wrote a check to a jumper, a defector from the UNC, a hardware owner somewhere in Woodbrook. The hardware owner and the person in question, the jumper, defector, they came with one cock and bull story that they were passing money to get government contract money, that the hardware owner didn't know the boy, he's not a supporter of the PNM or any party. He was trying to give money so that he could get back money from the government. The boy said, the jumper said, he didn't receive the check. The hardware man said, I gave the check by hand, I want it back. You remember that cock and bull story? Last night, a picture appeared somewhere on somebody's Facebook. Look at this. I am asking today, is this the same Ian Leonard? I think the name Ian Leonard. Is that the same Ian Leonard in red on the right hand side with what is with a wolf smile from somebody looking like Stuart Young? There's a kind of Hitler-like smile there, and another unknown lady is there, and a Hitler-like smile in the middle, and the man on the right appears to be this Ian Leonard, who said he wasn't a politician, he's not involved in politics. He's just doing business and wants his money from the government they owe him. Today I asked the question, Mr. Leonard, wherever you are, you mightn't wake up yet after last night, but tell us in due course, was that you in the PNM meeting? And the check, which we can go to the check now, I think we have a copy of the check as well. That check issued to the former UNC operative came from this gentleman in the PNM meeting, and then they want to tell us that they don't buy out candidates, they're not into purchasing and buying people out and things. These things I will not go further. We spoke about it before. They involve a lot of infractions in the criminal law. You cannot be giving people money because you want back government money. You cannot propose to persons and pass yourself out that you could somehow get money from the government if they're owing private businessmen. That is fraud. That is what's called trickery. These are serious criminal issues. And Mr. Leonard, if that is you at all, tell us so we know you are a PNM supporter, PNM operative, and you were involved with that $550,000 check to a former UNC operative, a former UNC official.
Now, Mr. Leonard, so you said, I quote you, I tell you, talk plenty, you said, you pay Kavisulal, the UNC man who gone PNM. You pay he $550,000 for him, the just come PNM, to go and make, to represent you, to get money that is owed to you by the PNM. So this brand new PNM, you pay 550,000 when you lineman with Stuart Smallpin Young, Rowley's K-Pax Liquor, Rowley's Bumsy Liquor, Stuart Young, if Rowley have diarrhea, Stuart Young will come out. You lineman with Stuart Smallpin Young, but you paid Cavi Shulal, wherever he should the name, he don't even know where Rowley is, how to talk to Rowley, or how to get to Rowley. You pay him $500,000 so that he could go and try and get money that the PNM owe you, and you lineman with small pin. Nah, man, Leonard. But I warn you, the only thing is that the TTPS is PNM now. But don't worry, the TTPS, it will not remain PNM, because the TTPS and all realize now that Rowley is carrying the joke too far when he's disrespecting all of the police officers, because he's trying to turn it into a mongoose Balize house gang. But Leonard, let me remind you, before all of that thing, all of that PNM small and small pin, I see you wearing normal PNM jersey, wear the Jordan jersey, and Stuarty, you're not wearing that again, the Air Jordan, Balize Jordan, your whole teeth of logo, you're not wearing that one. Why? Oh, you're afraid? Oh, because Nike don't play, Jordan lawyers don't play. Okay, small pin. But Leonard, I try to warn you, Archie and I warn him, run it. Mr. Leonard, I think you better get a lawyer, because what you said there in the Express was that you basically bribed a public official to assist you in getting a benefit from the government of Trinidad and Tobago. You see? And you say it so openly and so normally, you have to be a PNM. So I would recommend, sir, based on your statement here, that you contact the nearest lawyer, because police will be coming knocking on your door and you need representation. You are admitting that you paid a public official, a government official, somebody in the PNM here shaking hands with the Prime Minister, who is friendly with a minister of what Kazim is now? Minister of what? Agriculture. $550,000. For what purpose? Where did he get it? Was Sudal a counselor? These are some very serious things, but you admit you pay a man $550,000 to help you get money that is owed to you for work. I wish you all the best, whoever you are, Mr. Leonard. But based on what you are saying here, if this Express quoted you properly, I advise you to contact a lawyer, and it better be a UNC lawyer, because them PNM lawyer dons. So you better get that some of that money there and go and find Anand Ramlogan, Gerald Ramdeen, Jayanti Lachmidial. Find somebody who good, Another issue we have been dealing with, Archie. Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister Dominica, came into Trinidad and Tobago during a local government election as chairman of CARICOM and started to lick Rowley Bamsi and tell me about he not really as bad as what we think. He's really a nice guy, and that Rowley is great for West Indies cricket. And then he also tried to talk to us and tell us that the opposition must not try to score points by attacking impacts and so on. He attacked the UNC opposition right here in Trinidad and Tobago during an election campaign. Roosevelt fast and out of place. Skerrit. Remind the people, Archie, run it. Skerrit also defend impacts. Well, boss man, you just hit everything out of the park this week here. I didn't care about you, I didn't know about you, I'm not interested in you, but you just come in we face, in we place, in we patent place, as Rowley would say, and you come to defend impacts and talk about Brent Thomas. Let me hear what you say, let me listen carefully to you, boy. Skerrit, run it.
I'm staying on the topic of free movement to live and work. Of course, Prime Minister Skerrit, in your opening statement, you did mention possibly more reliance on the regional security system and, of course, the implementation agency for crime and security impacts. But, of course, a few months ago, we know that these two agencies came under very much question, with one judge describing with what one judge described as the kidnapping of TNT's national Grant Thomas. CARICOM citizens are somewhat still in the dark as to what exactly happened, how these two agencies were activated. Some are alleging unauthorized use of these agencies and alleged abuse of power. Did this fumble at all arise during your discussions? And of course, how can citizens be assured that this may not recur? Thank you.
Well, I don't think we can respond to this. Impacts and all of the security architecture, we believe that we accept and we know that they're operating within the laws of the countries. And they have served us well. And I think where we have to be very careful that we as politicians, whether we're in government or out of government, that we do not make statements that are not factual, and in order to seek to score political points. We have to be very careful that we don't unnecessarily put into question these institutions that are serving us well, especially where our own security within the region is concerned. So I do not subscribe to what you're saying, and therefore I cannot respond to your specific question with the allegations.
Well, Skerrit, my mother always said, if you have nothing to say that would be intelligent, or if people feel that you're not bright, stay quiet. Don't open your mouth and remove all doubt. Skerrit, now Skerrit, I have some question for you. Because Skerrit, you cast aspersions on the opposition without any factual basis, without understanding that Devendra Rampersad, a High Court judge, had gone through in detailed submissions and so on, and had said that the rule of law was not followed. There was no arrest warrant. The extradition treaty that we have signed, and Barbados and CARICOM, was not utilized. The law was not followed, and therefore it was an illegal abduction. That was from a court of law, not from politics, not from the hustings. But you came in to jump down and talk about it. But I have a question for you. How come when there's a situation with a gangster in your country, in Dominica, did you understand and claim the rule of law and the difference between operation and following the rule of law and propriety between Antigua and Dominica? Is this you, Roosevelt Skerrit? And if this is you on a radio show in Dominica, how do you explain the stupidity, the asinity you spoke in Trinidad and Tobago? Run it!
So, I asked the question as it relates to Mr. Choksi and the conspicuous silence from our Prime Minister on this Choksi matter. This is how he answered yesterday morning at the news conference.
Issue of the Mr. Choksi. Well, I mean, the charges of illegal entry in Dominica were dropped, and Mr. Choksi was allowed to leave Dominica with those charges dropped. So as far as Dominica is concerned, we have no more business with Mr. Choksi. So I cannot comment on any other thing except with Mr. Choksi's arrest and detention in Dominica and the charges over to him, and the prosecutors withdrew the charges, and he was allowed to leave. And as far as I know, he's in Antigua, where he has other court matters dealing with. So that's not for us to. No, there's no concern about this. If anybody has to be questioned or interviewed, then everybody will be questioned and interviewed. That's a normal practice. There's nothing untoward about this. I mean, something happened and somebody has to ask a question. Anybody will ask a question, but that's not something for the government or for the Prime Minister to get involved in. It's a matter for law enforcement people if there's an investigation. I really don't get involved in investigation or prosecution. My responsibility as Prime Minister is to ensure that the law enforcement and the prosecution people have the resources that they need to carry their functions. What they do and how they do it, they must do it in accordance with the Constitution, according to Law of Dominica. And that is what we have to ensure. But in terms of the carrying out of their duties, this is not something I get involved in at all. And it's something that is reported to me. I get reports and they tell me, okay, well, what should we do with this? What should we do? No. If a major crime happens in Dominica, I get proper reports from the police. I may call the police and ask them questions and to get clarification on major crimes in Dominica. A murder or major gun bust or something, something like that. But otherwise, on minor things, I really don't get involved in this matter. And the Choxy matter is a minor thing. We arrest Haitians all the time who come in Dominica illegally and others, and so that's a minor thing as far as we're concerned. So that will not be on my board file. No.
On the line with me, someone paying close attention to this issue of Choxy.
Now, they go on. I don't want to get involved in Dominica business with Choxy, But Roosevelt Skerrit, you said that they must follow the Constitution, the law, the rule of law, and process. The government must not get involved in that. That they must follow the law. How come you didn't know that when you're talking about impacts and attacking the opposition when Brent Thomas was kidnapped in Barbados? Because Judge Devendra Rampersad went through and said the law was not followed. There was no warrant. There was no authority. There was no right to go to leave the shores of Trinidad and Tobago. There was no extradition treaty. There was no court document to go to get the Barbados police, who the Attorney General of Barbados said in the Parliament acted ultra the law. But you come here in Trinidad and Tobago to open your mouth because you like Rowley, because two all is birds of a feather that all you flock together. Boy, Roosevelt Skerrit, boy, don't come back here and talk no stupidness, boy. You want to love up Rowley and Choxy? Take Rowley with Choxy. Chucky. Let me tell you something. I see people. I wasn't going to do this one, Archie, but I was saying, boy, leave the PNM. Let them sink, let them sink. If people want, whether I say on douglAR politics, no matter what, we stick to the truth. And we must always alert the population to the truth. I see a lot of people attacking Daryl Smith because they're saying that Daryl Smith, all of the allegations about impropriety at the ministry with some girl and so on, that integrity, how come he get a walk outside and so on. Let me tell you something. After Barry Padarat broke the story way back, I was another person following this story about Daryl Smith very carefully. And at first I was really offended and I had to attack Daryl Smith because the story coming out, the facts coming out was showing impropriety, sexual harassment and so on. But the douglAR don't stop digging. And then I kept getting and I got more information and I eventually got to the truth. And I realized that the initial story was not true. So let me help all you before all you continue to attack Daryl Smith. Understand this. And me I care because PNM is PNM and fire burn all of them, right? But let me get to the truth. And let me tell you all the facts and then you could determine where the fault lies. Remember, this is Keith Christopher Rowley. Keith Christopher Rowley who's in charge. Now understand this. At the same time that this entire situation came out and hit the papers and so on, let me remind you all of some facts that came to light. Daryl Smith found out that Keith Christopher Rowley was having sexual relations with his wife at that time. And Daryl Smith got very angry and was exploding, obviously. WhatsApp messages went back and forth. Then all of a sudden this story came out and a permanent secretary was removed and another permanent secretary was placed in the ministry who then authorized 150,000 payment in the same day. That permanent secretary was then promoted to permanent secretary in Faris Arawi Ministry, which is the Ministry of the Attorney General. The first permanent secretary, Ian Ramdahin, refused to get involved. The only person who can transfer a permanent secretary horizontally is the Prime Minister, Keith Rowley. So one, Keith Rowley was with Daryl Smith's wife. Daryl Smith was very upset about it. Then all of a sudden, this story came up with this girl sexual harassment. You know who's the girl? Noel Garcia's niece. The girl who made the allegations was Noel Garcia's niece. A permanent secretary was moved into the Ministry of Sport and signed off the day on the $150,000, which blew up the story as money paid for hush money. The girl, Noel Garcia's niece, then get a cushy job in Uricot or where she still is now. And then Daryl Smith was removed by Rowley. Now it's good for Daryl Smith, you see, because all your PNM does let Rowley do all your what they want and all they stay quiet. I should have stayed quiet too, but I don't have that ability at the PNM. If I know the truth, I have to say the truth. So to all my UNC people who are attacking Daryl Smith, go easy, because the truth is that Rowley was with the man's wife. He found out and he was vexed. The girl who made the allegation against Daryl Smith was Noel Garcia's niece. The permanent secretary who paid the $150,000 was put there by Rowley and then promoted to the Ministry of the Attorney General by Rowley, while Daryl Smith was pelted out of political office. So before all you attack Daryl Smith, understand the evil, the nasty, miscreant, the red coachman, the red culture, the disgusting man, and understand that Rowley will go to no end. He has no boundaries when going after someone, even when he is wrong. He put the man's wife down on this couch, and then he decimated the man's career in order to protect himself. He does that, whether Nelson Gate, whether Gary Gate, Police Service Commission Gate, whether political opponents, whether Manning with Obia Gate. He put Obia on Patrick Manning. This man is evil and sick. So all this slow, yes, Daryl Smith is PNM. Give him licks and thing. But get the facts. You understand, Denise Deming? You always like to rush to judgment. You still owe me an apology 6 years now. And why did you resign from the tourism development company, wherever it was, Denise Deming? Stop playing holier than thou. You're a PNM fraudster also. Why did you resign? What did they try to make you do? You resign and stay quiet, and now you're writing things like you are some Pontius Pilate. So all you understand this story. New facts. Rowley put Daryl Smith's wife, walk down, past 3 doors, past a parrot, through the door, onto the red couch. Daryl Smith found out. All this imbroglio came up, allegations come up from Noel Garcia's niece, who now since then have a cushy higher paid job somewhere in the PNM government with your taxpayer dollars. And Rowley put a permanent secretary there who wrote out the $150,000 check. Those are the facts. All you let it sit, kusume, and soak, because this is the evil. Kamala takes charge of procurement. All you better listen tomorrow in the parliament and come down to the parliament, all right-thinking citizens. Get outside our parliament and show your disgust with legalized thieving and retroactive correction of thieving. You cannot retroactively correct. If you break the law, you break the law. Imagine if you break a red light and then the policeman say, hey, you break the red light, and you say, no, I'm going to the parliament to say that I could break the red light at 7:59 p.m. on the highway. That's what the PNM is doing. They broke the law, they stole money, they allocated resources to people, your money, without the proper legal procedures. That is a criminal act, criminal conduct. It's thieving. And they come into the parliament to go and use their vote, simple majority, to say we make a mistake. Right. Editorial Newsday, more bad law. Recent events, however, suggest our legislative culture has begun to undermine the idea of legal certainty. Today, the ordinary citizen can no longer look at the most rudimentary act passed by Parliament and predict its effect, the procurement law, which have suddenly come to light after the alarm was raised by opposition MP Saddam Hussein on Sunday. It is also a fact that this law has been promulgated amid a legislative environment in which the selective proclamation of parts of legislation warps the impact of that legislation. Laws are passed with drafting that leaves the door open to interpretation. The infamous local government reform, which government interpreted one way, the Privy Council another. Legislation is being watered down and rendered unsound to avoid constitutional majorities, and blank checks are being given to ministers to make substantial changes via orders. In other words, the PNM is breaking the law. They are allowing themselves to spend your money without any oversight, without checks and balances, with interlocking directorships, without corporate governance, without tender principles, and you are still talking about the PNM? The PNM must go, and they must go now. The news is said we currently have an opposition that is, as per its right, vigilant on legal matters and unafraid to seek clarity in court. Let me read that again, because it's the first time the Newsday has printed the truth about the opposition. We currently have an opposition that is, as per its right, vigilant on legal matters and unafraid to seek clarity in court. It is the government, however, that must shoulder primary responsibility for the confusion created by the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Property Amendment Act 2020, a law which contains a glaring error that has now been seemingly taken advantage of by the state in exempting CARICOM summit matters from the procurement regime. That all there is nice words, beautiful description to say the PNM thief, that they thief, to take money, allocate to companies without legal tender procedures is stealing. So tomorrow pay full attention to the Parliament. And those of you who believe in Trinidad and Tobago, get down there, 1 o'clock. Parliament starts 1:30. Now, let me tell you something, just to remind all of some of the PNM lies, because there's so many, sometimes you'll forget. But douglAR politics, we go remind you. Remind them, Archie.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Is this Mr.
No.
Monkey?
Yeah.
Someone give me...
One on procurement, you have it? PNM corruption and procurement about bridgemans and thing. Yeah, run that. Oh, you're good. Right, but I will tell them, remember that. You have it? Run it.
It was the UNC Bay Ferries, a 12-month contract to get out. So the Bay Ferries getting out, Bay Ferries out at Trinidad was a UNC plan.
The Ministry of Works, I was in charge of the port fell under me. And I met a situation where a Canadian company came to Trinidad in 2005 for 6 months. In 2005 for 6 months. To teach us how to sail the inter-island ferries to Tobago, between Tobago and Trinidad. 6 months. That went on with contract extensions for 10 years, ladies and gentlemen. Since they came in 2005, until I put an end to it, a few weeks or months ago, 2 months ago. They sat down there for 5 years and encouraged it. I saw it was not in your interest. I decided to put a stop to it. To protect the public purse, because I knew we had skilled professionals who could carry on the service when they would have gone. Today, I am happy to let you know, the Canadian firm is gone. We are saving millions and millions of US dollars, what we were using to pay them, and the ferry service is running between Trinidad and Tobago as normal.
The bacchanal on the port started when the UNC decided to get rid of Bay Ferries. And the bacchanal on the port started when the UNC decided to get rid of the ferries.
Is there anything you could have done differently? And
so much there. Do you know the removal of bay ferries? Bay ferries were maintaining the vessels and keeping them running, the Express and the Spirit. When they gave Magellan, which was the Sarabai of the great PNM who was always right, I forget he named the old man, right? But he was on the board and he gave the contract. He, through, as Heinz say, tell them to fire the Canadians and give the contract to the PNM Sarabai son-in-law, Magellan. Express and Spirit started to break down and the sea bridge collapsed. Then Rowley and Smallpin ended up going to Australia and procuring the APT James and the Buku Reef without a board, without tender, without competition. Rowley went with Smallpin. The bids came in to Smallpin and his committee. They saw it. They saw that Hostal was higher than INCAT, and they called Hostal and they gave Hostal secret information of INCAT, and Hostal lowered the bid and they gave it out like dynamite 1-1. Totally corrupt, totally inappropriate, totally against procurement procedure, and that was Bridgman's, and all the fiasco. That was APT. In between there was Bridgman's with the Kobo Star still running at 200 and something million. All of that crooked money that Rowley described. But the crooked money was only paid because Rowley gave prime ministerial approval. A prime minister could give approval for money to be spent and then go to cabinet for covering approval. That was what Rowley did, and that's their modus operandi. And Rowley and them have the audacity to call somebody else thief. Now Ola, as we're talking that, Ola, I see you sending police all over the place, and all you listen tomorrow, THA, 10 a.m. I promise all you. Let me tell you something, Rowley, your bumsy should be clapping like this. Because you're going Ola and you're investigating audio tape about propaganda and so on, because Rowley tell you, what is the crime, Ola? What are you taking people's phone for? What the police confiscating people's phone for? How they get warrant to go and take people's devices? But Tobago, the chief secretary go deal with that tomorrow morning 10 a.m. The entire country log on tomorrow to the THA 10 a.m. and then the parliament 1:30 p.m. I say no more. But I could tell you, Rowley is further unmasked for the miscreant that he is. So Ola, forget that, send police here, Ola. Because here this audio recording, Ola, the PNM is telling people to come for a government job with taxpayers' money to present themselves to a political office to get a job. There's not no propaganda about if somebody get a job, they could then go in their free time and talk about a party, Not that, Franco men break clotting here, Ola. Listen to this while you're looking for insurance and license with your eyebrow and your teacup. Run it.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Is this Mr. Mikey?
Yeah.
Someone give me this number to contact you concerning the 10 years.
Who is it?
Sorry?
Who is it?
Sita. From Chiklan. Sita from Chiklan.
Here we have to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to get your ID card and a photocopy ID card and a light bill.
Okay. Which office I'll be going to?
The PNM office in Vicetic Solo. The campaign office, I mean.
That is next to
office.
the campaign office.
Yeah, right next to Vicetic Solo.
The PNM campaign office.
Yeah.
Are going to meet anybody in particular there, or just going and putting down my name there?
No, you come in with your ID card and the ID card and a light bill.
All right, no problem. And how soon I'll be able to get through?
Well, you come down, put it down, because the list has to go up to the list has to go up.
Okay then, no problem.
So the audio comes before the hour 12, the list has to go up.
Okay then, no problem. Thank you.
Okay then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to get a 10 days URP, government money, taxpayer money, whoever that gentleman is, is telling them go to the PNM campaign office by solo to get a government job? Really? Ola, wake up, girl. Audio tape. You got your law breaking right in your face with PNM. Ola, what you say? Oh no. Who that, Ola? Run it. It went up too loud? Alright. And while you doing that, Ola, teams rob the Nigerian embassy. We are an international embarrassment. And while all of that going on, crime across the board, murder, the law association, the bank association trying to put security by all ATM, bandits terrorize Spring Village, murder in Aranguez, video they have robbery, beatings, home invasion, body parts in the road, video of shoplifting all over, Coast Guard vehicles shot up, pensioner dies after robbery, a 75-year-old woman was battered and beaten and robbed in her home, she dead. Let me tell you something, we are sitting ducks. Actually just show them some of the compilation.
Bandits are coming in groups and
Correct.
increasing in number.
Don't show the graphic one.
Homes and loved ones when you come face to face with 8 intruders in one go. This is the danger some residents of St. Augustine tell us they find themselves facing, as the absence of police have made them sitting ducks.
Within the past few weeks, residents of St. Augustine have been experiencing escalated criminal activities, including home invasions during the wee hours of the morning. In one video, a group of about 8 intruders are seen patrolling the area. Residents report that 2 had jumped a wall, but when a security officer started flashing lights, they all retreated. Residents say these incidents occur sometimes twice a week, with several homes being hit in one night. Residents tell us
we can't show the graphic stuff, but suffice it to say, it's horrendous. And Ola, Christopher, you put on camouflage to go and check insurance and license, and let Rowley call all of your police officers to the palace to tell him that the UNC is going to make this a campaign issue. The UNC is not making it a campaign issue. It is a campaign issue. The PNM has failed. Fitzgerald Ethelbert, Bodybag Hines is a failure. Keith Rowley, you're the head of the National Security Council. You have failed. The PNM has failed. People are unsafe. People are scared. The country is ungovernable right now under the PNM. So it is an issue, and the people will vote you out in local government and in a general election. And let me tell you something. The PNM supporters, Rowley already come to play and talk about race, about one race getting gun from another one to kill this one. The only human being who is saying that on a consistent basis is Keith Rowley. Keith Rowley is saying that all criminals are African or black people. That's what he's telling you, that Kamala going to give all law-abiding citizens, since there are no, according to Rowley, no African law-abiding citizens. So Kamala, who wants everybody law-abiding to stand their ground, protect their castle, defend their castle, protect their families and so on. All law-abiding citizens, whether they're black, Indian, mix-up, douglAR, Chinese, Syrian, white, Portuguese, Venezuelan. Kamala wants everybody to protect themselves from criminals. Rowley saying in his warped mind that all criminals are one race. He then also went on in his own meeting of his own supporters to tell the supporters sitting down there, their children are murderers. Listen to Rowley, run it.
Like everybody else is acknowledging that violent crime is a problem of the government of the day, not only in this country. We admit that we have to face it on a daily and an hourly basis. And some of the actions of the criminals, your children, your own children, murderers that you bred, yours, our society, our citizens are doing things to us that are even shocking us. Horrible criminal conduct. We can't turn a blind eye to that.
Children that you bred are murderers. That's what Rowley telling his own supporters sitting down in red. But understand this, when Kamla Prasad Bisesa says, stand your ground, she'll make it easier, more readily available for law-abiding citizens to have firearms, to fight fire with fire, to protect their homes and protect their wives and their children. Rowley says that Gary Griffith was giving out extra permits and so on to militarize the society. Really? Gary Griffith was clearing up backlogs that had existed for decades of people who had legitimately applied for FULs, gone through the psychological testing, done everything, and it just sat there, stacking up in the sky. And Gary Griffith started to deal with that backlog. Rowley come to attack him and say he's militarizing. Really? Law-abiding citizens having weapons to protect themselves is not militarizing. That's protecting and defending your castle and standing your ground. But do you know, before Rowley pulled the race card out his pocket, he agreed with Kamla, you know. He endorsed Kamla stand your ground, you know. Listen, don't let the douglAR say it, you know. You don't have it? No, boy. Before that, it started off with a lady in red talking to Rowley. A day, you have it. Before the boy on the bike. Right? Press play on that one. You see that lady stand up in a red jersey asking Rowley something. Well, you wouldn't see it. Kind of blurry, a kind of old video. You find it? But when you find it, you will hear Keith Rowley talking about why weapons are needed, why illegal weapons are so dangerous, and criminals with a weapon wanting to kill you is deadly, and if you have a weapon you have to use it to defend yourself, and it's a law and your right to do so. Rowley said that. But now for politics to play race card, he talking about Kamla saying she go give one race gun to shoot her next race. The man is a sicko. You all must get rid of Rowley across the board. But like Archie, you can't find that. So you don't have the bike one? Well, let me finish off with Lord Christo then. Let me finish off. We went long. Vishnu, I get through it. How long? All right. Just under, 2 hours. 2 hours, but I tell you, Vishnu, I will get through it by douglAR politics, efficient with information. Listen to this Kaiso from Lord Christo, and keep in mind, Keith Christopher Rowley coming down the steps, past 3 dogs, a parrot, opening the door of a dungeon office, and those who want a job in the PNM, those ladies must lay down on that couch, waiting for that nasty man to lie down on top of them. Run it. Rowley. I just want to see kangaroo. Keith Christopher Rowley. Anil Roberts, aka the douglAR, is asking you, do you have an office downstairs, your house there, where you have to go down the steps, and on the right side you pass 3 dogs that are chilling out there getting some shade, and as you go down a little further there's a parrot, and then when you get into the office there's one big bright red couch. I never come by you. I'm not your friend. I detest you. Oh, I know, Keith Christopher. Tell me a lie now. Don't a lie. By the way, bundles, do you know about by home by Rowley there, where you go down the steps, you pass 3 dogs, you go down a bit more, there's a parrot, you go past the parrot and into the office downstairs with a bright red couch. Are you aware of that? Or is just Anil? I never went to know. Christine, you know about the red couch? Past the 3, you walk down the steps, past 3 dogs. Then you go down a bit further, pass a parrot, go into the dungeon office and a bright red couch. Did you ever have a meeting there, Christine Kangaloo?
And as I coming in, the boyfriend was going out. But this is...
Good night. Deal with that man. Every time you get a chance to use this finger, use it and get rid. We will not be able to erase the memory of him from the annals of history of our politics, but we could erase him from doing any more damage to our nation. He is a clear and present danger to our democracy. All right-thinking citizens of Trinidad and Tobago of all races, ethnicities, religions, and genders must vote out Rowley and the PNM. August 14th is step 1, and then the general election. Good night.
Good evening, everyone. I am Lisha Dore, President of the Compass Foundation, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to another episode of Critical Conversations with the Compass Foundation. Local government elections is on August 14th, which means that we have only 26 days left. So what started off as a very long campaigning period, I think it was 7 weeks, has now drawn down to just 26 days left. That time has really flown. So we're getting closer and closer, and the countdown is certainly on to the mother of all local government elections. That's how this particular local government election is being described, as the mother of all local government elections. So what has been going on? A lot of campaigning, both on the ground and on social media. Many walkabouts with the respective candidates of the districts, many political meetings, a lot of political messaging. Social media is a buzz with activity, all pertaining to the local government elections. And as I would have mentioned before, a lot of people are so surprised by this heightened level of activity. People are saying, oh God, it's feeling like a general election. It is unprecedented in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Please excuse the noise in the background. I apologize for that. So we are now at installment number 6 of our local government series, and we are keeping our promise to showcase some of our bright, energetic, dynamic candidates for the local government election. We are extremely pleased to have with us tonight Mr. Darren Garner, your UNC local government election candidate for Northern Port of Spain, and also Mr. Richard Rampasad, your UNC local government election candidate for St. Augustine South, Piarco, St. Helena. So first and foremost, I want to congratulate both of these gentlemen for being selected as candidates, and I must say worthy candidates for your districts. Just to mention, Darren was also a general election candidate who would have contested the Port of Spain North St. Anne's West seat, and Richard would have served as the councillor for his district in the past term for 3.5 years. 3.5 years, because as we know, that term was extended by almost half a year. So certainly I am looking forward to having a chat with these two guys. I've been talking to them this week, and I guarantee you this is going to be a very exciting conversation. I mean, we are in the heat of the election season, so it's going to be real pace and real excitement. So, very special welcome to you, our esteemed panelists, and also special welcome to you, our viewers who have joined us on Zoom, Facebook, and on YouTube, and also those who will look at the program after the live, because many do. Members of the media who are joining us, welcome, and I would like to thank you for your continued support. Members of the Compass Foundation, some who you don't see, but they're always behind the scenes, trying to get things working so that we keep up with our weekly schedule of having this program. And last but not least, normally I have two co-moderators. Unfortunately, Mr. Chris Hussein is down with the flu. Very unfortunate because he was looking forward to this conversation with Richard and Darren, but he is going to be live with us online on the chats and so on social media. So we still have his presence with us, although not on the Zoom tonight. And the lovely Ms. Shanti Sipasad, Treasurer of the Campus Foundation, who is going to be my moderator, co-moderator tonight. Just to explain the format of the program for the benefits of Richard and Darren and everyone else who's looking at it for the first time. We have a panel discussion. It is very casual, right? So we ask you questions, you respond. After the panel discussion, we get into Q&A with the audience and open mic. So that is how we do it. We tend to end around 9 to 9:30, but we will do a hard stop at 9:30. It all depends on how the questions go and the open mic session. So having said all of that, let me pass you on to the lovely Shanta, who is going to kick off our panel discussion tonight.
Thank you, Alicia. It's such a pleasure to be part of this discussion with two young, dynamic, hardworking candidates. And I would say, despite they being young, they are experienced within the politics. So it's really good to see young persons like myself part and giving themselves up to be part and give service. Richard, you were councillor for your district for 3.5 years. How was that experience for you, and what are some accomplishments and what were your challenges for those 3.5 years?
Thank you very much, Ms. Sipasad. Good night to you and your team. Good night to all the viewers we have on this platform. And thank you for the opportunity to be here to shed light on my insights and my journey, having served one term as elected councillor for my district. So you asked an interesting question. You asked me to reflect on my journey. How was that, my first stint as a councillor and my achievements? Personally, I am still waiting to see where 3.5 years went. I could remember 2019 canvassing and campaigning as if it was last week. And the time just went by so quickly. But you know, Shanta, it was an extremely rich and fulfilling experience for me in many ways. And whilst I say that in the same breath, there has been also so much room for improvement where deliverables are concerned. For the benefit of those who do not know, I was the councillor attached to the TPRC, the Tunapuna Piako Regional Corporation. And that corporation is controlled by the current government, the current administration, the PNM. Having said that, there were many times where councillors, even PNM councillors, have been starved for resources to execute basic infrastructural and developmental projects within their district. So automatically, that is one of the challenges. In fact, that is the most significant and most, glaring challenge that we all encountered during our respective term at the TPRC. But whilst we had that, I was able to somehow mitigate the effects of that through my engagement with private and corporate entities to assist with some of the projects that I would have ideally preferred or liked for the corporation to deal with. And I campaign on motto, hashtag, the art of the possible. And it's really about transforming, taking red flags and turning it into red carpet, basically. Yeah. So it's just about finding a way to make it happen and getting the job done as best as I can. Obviously, I would have mentioned the limitations, but, just wanting to having the will to pursue and get things done, that served as an impetus for me during my term. It was indeed a learning experience also because I have not had a political background. I am a secondary school teacher by profession, and I am also an artist. So the politics, it was just like delving in a new realm altogether for me. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And I'm excited for what is, what lies in the future in this particular field.
Just by the way, as you mentioned, you're an artist. Do you think politics itself is an art?
Well, well, in all facets of our lives, there's an art because it involves being calculated, it involves being strategic, it involves being creative, it involves being innovative. So politics, in its purest form, I would say is an art because you have to know how you're tackling it and how you're going about executing it. All right, so the handling of it, it's very similar to art.
Because when you mention you turn those red flags into a red carpet, that is creative. I gotta write that down. That I love that. And you can use it as a nice slogan against us as well.
Thank you.
Shant and I are on the same page because I actually just wrote it down. So Richard, we'll be quoting you. Well done.
Yeah. It's always about finding a way to make it happen regardless. We know we will be strapped for resources under this administration, but is that the narrative we will continue to, recite? We just have to find a way to make it happen. I'm so grateful for the persons who would have come forward to render assistance during my term. Persons would have recognized all the challenges that we would have faced. And it's really my intention to build on that. Yes, we have to hold the government to account because we are paying taxes. They have a social and economic responsibility for the citizenry. But at the same time, they seem to have, thrown their hands up in the air, and it's really now up to the citizens to make it all possible. Hashtag the art of the possible.
A question we did have for you, and we could probably still even get into it, although you touched on it already, but maybe later on in the program, we could look at how exactly you overcame that shortage of resources that would have been provided to the local government councils. Switching now to Mr. Ghana, Darren. Darren, you're a brave man. I'm sure you're being told that constantly, right? Because you are contesting the Northern Port of Spain seat on a UNC ticket. So I am very interested to hear, and I'm sure our audience is as well, how is that experience? Because it's a very, very difficult thing you're trying to do, huh? Or some would say it's difficult, but perhaps on the ground, the ground may be shifting. Tell me, why did you take on this challenge that some would say is a very difficult challenge because your district is part of the PNM stronghold? And what do you think your chances are?
Good night. Good night, Ms. Dure. Thank you for having me. I'd like to say good night to your viewers as well. Well, you opened by asking me if I'm a brave man. And yes, I am. All my life, I have been faced with challenges. Some, I believe, I probably should not have had to face at that time in my life, but I was still presented with it, and I found a way to overcome. And I got involved in politics by divine, it was a divine calling, because I didn't go seeking the opportunity. I wanted to serve, but the opportunity came to me. I put it out into the universe, and the opportunity came to me, and I took up the calling. Now, some might say, well, it's an uphill battle. Why are you doing it? My mantra is service unto others. And I believe once we all stay true to ourselves and we decide that we put our heads down and doing the best that we can, anything is possible. The journey so far in Northern Port of Spain has been an uphill battle, but the political climate is one that is ripe for change. The showers of change is very near. We now have to have our buckets ready to touch the water when the change is there. Opportunity is like a wind, and once it blows, sometimes you don't ever get it back. A lot of people are expressing their discontent, their unhappiness with the way that the government of the day is managing the country. And they, surprisingly, a lot of people admitting that they normally would lend their support to the PNM, but they believe that this is the time for a change, you know. But being someone that has contested in Port of Spain twice before, I understand that lip service is a major part of the Port of Spain political climate as it comes to any party that's not PNM. So it takes a lot of massaging to get the people to really come out, because on a first visit they tell you yes, 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 but it will really take a second and a third journey, reminding them of the commitment, explaining to them why, because I mean, it's a certain level of indoctrination, for the lack of a better term, that has occurred in Port of Spain for so many years. For them to go against what their parents has drove in their head over all these years, it really takes a lot to get them to come out. I believe that this is the time for the change, and I honestly believe that the United National Congress has made a lot of inroads in Port of Spain, and this is the season to reap our harvest for all the years that we would have been clamoring and trying to get into that political space. Because if my memory serves me well, it's probably only one candidate that was from the United National Congress that won a seat in the Port of Spain Corporation, if I'm not mistaken. In 2010, it would have been the partnership, and it's a very difficult journey, but people are opening up, and the welcome is unbelievable. From getting word from candidates of yesteryear who would be on the ground with us, and they explain the difficulties they would have faced. A lot of people are open to giving the local government candidates, myself and the other candidates that are in Port of Spain, that opportunity to see what we are offering to them. So yeah, I'm ready for the challenge.
I want to just, a comment was made on the chat here, and I would like to get your immediate reaction to this comment, maybe the both of you. People need to wake up and vote the PNM out. I'm shocked to see so many PNM supporters still supporting this government after the 8 hard years. So I don't know if anybody would like to just respond to that, maybe Richard and then Darren.
Thank you, Lisha. You know, I think I can give the country perhaps 6 million reasons why not to vote the PNM. And every day you're bombarded with more and more reasons why the UNC is the only party in this country with a proven track record of progress and performance. I mean, it speaks volumes for itself. When the partnership was in government, you could have seen it, you could have smelt it, you could have perhaps maybe even tasted, because we had the school feeding program. But the PNM, it's a stark contrast now with what we have. The closing down, the shutting down, the dismantling, and the 1,000,001 fiascos. Hands down, I think it's like chalk and cheese. The UNC is the only option we have.
Darren, if we can bring you in at this point, just to respond to that comment that was on the chat.
Yeah, well, to answer that comment, it's a very unfortunate actuality, but when you have someone who, from the inception of a political party, driving home or blowing a dog whistle to its members, that causes them to have a perception that their ethnic identity is tied to their political affiliation, it causes people to be blind to what is right in front of them. So you're no longer participating in the democratic process for the reasons that you should, but utilizing a different medium to choose who you want to govern yourself. There's a Turkish proverb that says the tree continued voting for the axe because his handle was wooden. So they thought he was one of them. That is a perfect explanation, and breakdown of why you would still have people who are supporting the PNM. They believe that not voting for them is going against themselves. But I have a message for all those persons. I'm here to let you know that the United National Congress is a national party, and we are here to serve the people. We have done so from 2010 to 2015, and I'm pretty certain with your support, we'll do what we did before and even more. High time you get what you deserve, which is proper representation, and it's about time that the nation heal from all the wounds of yesteryear, and we come together and truly live up to our national watchwords and our motto. Together we aspire, together we achieve. So it's quite unfortunate that some people are still stuck in that backward thinking, but we live in a time where being progressive is the way to go. So I believe that eventually, in the next 2 years, we will, as a matter of fact, as of August the 15th, the nation would know now is the time, and they have a next opportunity to get the job done once and for all when election is called in probably next 18 months or so.
You know, I better let the chat here carry on this conversation, because exactly what I want to say, I see people are commenting on the chat. Well said, Richard and Darren. Those words were just at the top of my lips to say, and somebody said it. So, Chanta, over to you.
Darren, you know, I feel a bit frightened for you because you are in the belly of the PNM. And honestly, I feel for you. You really have a hard job even campaigning. But what I want to know, what has the response been like on the ground, especially being in a PNM dominated areas? Is it that people are still going towards the PNM? Are they complaining, or what is it?
Well, since I've known myself, I've always been someone to go against the grain. I think my personal calling is one that requires such a quality, because since I know myself, I've always gone against the grain. With good reason, that is. But the response on the ground is very promising. That's the best word I could use right now. A lot of people are expressing their eagerness to get to the polls, to lend their support to the United National Congress. A lot of people are stuck because I go in certain areas, and surprisingly, most of the people in the area just welcome and come inside, have a seat, come inside your house, don't worry, you're welcome here. And I'm surprised. And then they would go in some areas, and from a distance they tell them, don't put them in my mailbox, don't put them in my mailbox. But you know, all in all, even those persons who say don't put it in my mailbox, I still engage them in a conversation. And I had the opportunity to exercise that stronghold of mine. And I remember in the Belmont area, someone told me, don't put that in my mailbox. And at the end of the conversation, I had a phone number and a commitment. Yes, I will. So, you know, it does take a little more sergeant than most areas, because you have to remind them that when you go to cast your vote, you are not casting your vote for just, let's say, you voting for a party because you like a party. You need to have someone that is going to give you as needed for your community, right? And when you look around and you see track record of the councillors that would have come from the other party, while some may say that they get representation, I've spoken to many persons who don't even know who the councillor is, and some may say, yes, we know who she is, she comes around, but she stays over on the other side of the electoral district. They get all the support. So I am baffled by the fact that these are the people that even voted for you. Not even, it's not even just like it's someone from another party. These people voted for you, yet you treated them badly. So I am, I am not fazed by the reception, or even the perception that the reception may be bad, because I know to myself everyone is feeling the pinch. Some of these people are in denial, and some people even ask for clandestine meetings because they don't want the neighbors to know that they give me support. So I mean, yeah, as I said, the wind of change is here, and people are ready, waiting with their back to catch that air. Yeah.
Well, Darren, I'm so glad to hear about that wind of change that is sweeping through this nation, because we really need it. We can't continue going on the way it has been going on. I mean, the last time I checked, the statistics were 3 or 4 murders to date. And the experts are saying we're going to cross the murder record that was established last year, which was 605. We're going to even beat that out. So where are we really going in this country? So I just want to shift now. PNM is campaigning on local government reform, right? And a central part of that campaign is the property tax. The United National Congress is campaigning on secure TNT. Let us secure TNT. So I just want to get your thoughts on the PNM's campaign of local government reform versus the UNC's campaign of securing TNT. Richard?
Thank you. So when we would have spoken to persons and we asked them what matters most in this current climate, you know, the current thread, the common denominator is safety and security. You would have mentioned crime is at an all-time high. The persons are saying we're going to sure exceed the murder toll from last year and that type of thing. The UNC is proposing through municipal police and local government, secure communities, secure families, secure homes, and secure neighborhoods. The UNC is proposing heightened and increased police patrols in communities, and this is happening through local government. What it would require is an increase in the staffing and the human resource at the municipal corporations in order to facilitate this particular type of endeavor. The PNM, on the other hand, is campaigning on local government reform, which is extremely still very blurred and obscure at this time, and is something that we know proclamation and full implementation will take some time. This is a very ambitious project. They wish to include the property tax. Now, we have been saying time and time again, now is just not the time for this. Lisha, we are coming out of a pandemic. There are thousands of persons who still haven't yet come to terms economically, socially, emotionally with this pandemic that as a world we were grappling with. And here it is, you're going to force a very non-people-centric program down person's throat with the pledge that it's going to help the municipality, it's going to help the electoral district. I don't believe that, because at present we are still paying taxes and we're not getting value for money. The roads and drains are in a horrible condition. So what guarantee am I going to get that if you were to introduce this property tax, we're going to see some improvement? You know, you just can't buy it. And I think the country at large really need to take this thing with a pinch of salt. This is serious business here, you know. When I go house to house and you see firsthand the realities of people, I mean, basic things such as food, it is such a challenge for families to provide for their children. And now it is you want to impose this dreaded tax. Their plans, the PNM's plans and policies or lack thereof has never been people-centric. And that is exactly what makes us in the UNC stand above. Our programs has always been for the people. about the people and how it can improve and empower our citizens. They continue to push this. Their campaign is based, as you rightfully said, on local government reform and property tax. We are saying no, now is not the time, and we need to, keep looking at that with a critical eye.
Well, Richard, you made two very valid points there. One, is it the right time, given that we're on the heels of a pandemic and people catching the skin, as we see, catching the tail, catching the skin in Trinidad and Tobago, right? And the second thing you made mention of is what guarantee we have if we pay more taxes that we're going to get more service. So in a sense, it's like you're buying cat and bag, excuse the local balance. So Darren, over to you, right? The PNM's campaign, the campaigning on the local government reform versus the UNC's campaign of securing TNT. Just getting some comments on that.
Well, I would like to echo the sentiments of my comrade who just spoke before, because when you really extrapolate the two campaigns, one is about the people and one is about something that we have no time for at this point in time. Social media would tell you, the newspaper would tell you, the news would tell you, people all around are concerned about their safety. The crime is spilling over into the schools. There's gang warfare in schools. Law-abiding citizens are concerned about even going to their local shops and coming back, because in broad daylight you could be met with a gun to your face. You go to a supermarket and you might be unfortunate to be in the supermarket at the time when they decide to do what they're doing. This is an urgent current situation, so it is quite callous and out of touch for the other party to decide that they want to use taxation as a campaigning a slogan or theme. I think it's quite absurd, because are you not realizing that people are looking to the leaders for some sort of guidance and covering and some assistance, and the only thing you could think about is taxing the people, more tax, more tax, more tax. And you raise a very good point. If you can't do much with little, how are we sure you're going to do much with more? We are already paying taxes, VAT, we pay and pay as you earn, but we are left wondering, where is it going? When you walk through the streets of any street, as a matter of fact, we can't even isolate it to any particular area alone. When you walk through any street in Trinidad, they're I like to call them inverted speed bumps. These potholes all over, everywhere you go, is no longer to say, well, that's over in them rural areas. That's a next neglect that tends to happen. But it happened. It all in the capital city in Port of Spain is there's potholes all over. So the fact that it's so out of touch to not understand that people want to feel secure and campaigning on something that seems to only be a concern of theirs and not the people who they're asking to support them, leads me to wonder, as the question was asked before, how are people supporting them even at this time? But as I said, this is the time when people are going to wake up and do what is needed to carry this country to the next level.
During election time, in the past, in this country, we usually see the government of the day campaigning on what we're going to give to the citizens. Whether it's a local election or general election, promises are made. Now, on one hand, we see the PNM government, they're campaigning on this local government reform. Now, whether how it goes, the reform is there, the reform is coming. We see the opposition now proposing their side of it with secure TNT, the community comfort patrols and whatnot. But I want to ask Richard, you spent time in the Tunapuna Corporation, and I know Tunapuna and San Juan Corporation, they were the pilot corporations for this reform. Now, I'm asking your opinion on this. What reform have you seen during your time, that short time within the corporation, and what do you think might happen after election? So is it that, because how the government is spinning it, once we win this election, a magic wand is going to wave and we're going to get perfect. The reform is going to come in, everything is going to be smooth sailing, everybody's happy. But how do you think the reform is going to come? Is it an incremental basis, or what do you expect?
Well, thank you, Shanta. I assume it could be done incrementally in stages. Thus far, I haven't seen any imprints of local government reform at the TPRC, at least in any visible or meaningful way. Like I would have mentioned earlier, I think it's still very unclear, it's still very vague. And the government really needs to come out in the public and explain to us how this thing, they intend to work on this thing and how is the rollout of this reform, what it's going to be like. Because councillors during my last term, on the other side, they were still very much unclear. And they themselves had so many questions about it. So it leaves me to wonder that the powers that be, are they even sure about what it is they're doing? Because when you try to do some research and you do some preliminary reading on this thing, you recognize that it's a very monumental task. And that's what I mentioned. Full implementation of this is something that will take some time because it's a restructuring of the entire ministry from a policy level to a human resource level and in other ways. So I haven't started seeing any imprints of this local government reform taking effect at the TPRC whilst I was there. I am unsure what would happen when the new term starts, when it commences in August, September, and how they plan on rolling out this program.
Personally, I feel this reform, from what I've read, it's very, very vague. And I'm wondering, is the government waiting to see the results of local government election? And let's say they perform poorly while they go into jam you all. And maybe if they do well, it's a different story. Or either way, everybody might get jammed. But personally, I think it's very, very vague and have not explained certain aspects of it. But speaking about that, I know especially UNC councillors, they complain of being starved for funds, especially how you're in a PNM controlled corporation. What has your experience been like within the corporation and funding towards your district?
I think the irony is not only the UNC councillors are being starved of resources, it's even the PNM councillors at our corporation have been starved, because you would hear them complain. I can only imagine the time they get in whilst campaigning and that kind of thing, the experience that they are faced with. And it's very unfortunate that a government would have their councillors enduring that type of embarrassment when they're campaigning. So it is a fact that we have been starved for resources. And as the case is with the TPRC, it's both the UNC and the PNM. So they don't even have a heart for their own supporters in their quote-unquote controlled areas or electoral districts. And that has been a challenge. It has been a significant challenge when we get releases for our developmental projects. Shanta, the allocation is so small, you cannot even pave a road properly. It's just a few feet you can do with the funding that's available. And the same goes for box rates. And you have areas that is extremely big with a lot of earthen roads still. And the releases, and you get this once for the year. So you get a release for a developmental project, release for drainage, and you get one for roads and that type of thing. So you within your district, you now have to try your best to prioritize where is most needed. And that can be such a difficult task because of the years of neglect. And you're just able to do a small, tiny little piece. So now you have to wait for a second year to continue to build on that. Or in my case, you may want to shift it to a different constituency because of the size of the electoral district. So it's really a host of challenges. I always say local government is that arm of government that is closest to the people, because it's your everyday issues, roads, infrastructure, garbage collection, and the blatant disrespect meted out to councillors, both UNC and PNM, by their government. It's really, really unfortunate. It's appalling to say the least.
And you know, Richard, sometimes we as ordinary citizens, when we don't know and we are not informed, we might look at our community and say, well, look, the corporation passed and they paved this piece of road. Why they didn't pave this piece?
Mm-hmm.
And they're right next to each other, you know, not knowing, well, we don't have the resources. Just a random question for the audience. How much constituencies your district falls into? Because it's St. Augustine, South, Piarco, St. Helena. So I think that's a large space.
Yes. So I have an electorate close to, I would say, 13,000. It's my electoral district spills into 3 constituencies. It's St. Augustine. I have like 11 PDs in St. Augustine. I have 2 PDs in Chaguanas West, and I have 1 PD in Caroni East. So it's a big district. It starts on its northern side, close opposite where Kirona is in Valsayn, and it heads east along the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway and ends at Mausica South, and then it comes in and make the rounds into St. Centeno, El Carmen, St. Helena, Oropun, Piarco, Caroni, Spring Village, St. Augustine South, and reconnects at the first point where it started in Valsayn. So it's a big area. It's there are some remote parts, more the Caroni East faction of my district, and the St. Augustine faction, which is situated along the corridor, along the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway. That is much more, those are the areas where we still have so much neglect. And, you know, one will think it being in such a busy area, the corridor, that you would see some development happening and some priority given. But it's just the lack of the will from the administration, the powers that be, to issue the releases for us to get the job done. So it's an extremely big electoral district, and prioritizing projects is such a difficult task because there's so much to get done. You know, Shanta, I am so thankful for, your everyday folks, business people, recognizing the challenges and, coming forward with the support to assist in developmental work within the region. I am always humbled by those acts of kindness, and it really goes a long way. And it shows the true spirit of the people, and how persons just want to see a better community.
I think that district could be split into about 2 when you look at the size and whatnot.
It's really big, and if the EBC chose to split it in 2, guess what? There's 2 safe UNC seats.
No, I'm seeing a comment here on the chat. I love this guy. I could see Richard Rampersad performing well for his constituency. Just to mention that Richard is the outgoing councillor. He served for the last 3.5 years as councillor of that very same district. And yes, he has performed, not that he will perform well. He has consistently performed very well. He has a very active social media profile, and that is where I go and I macro as follow, as the young people would say, all the activity he has been doing. So I would advise you all to check out Richard Rampersad
as well.
Check out Richard Rampersad, and you will see, check out his Facebook page, and you will see all of the work he has been doing. He does exceptionally well with his social media. I don't know where he finds the time, but he's doing exceptionally well with it.
I'm sure he's a competent team.
Yes.
I don't know how much of it he's doing himself, or if he does have a competent team. I don't know.
So I have a team of persons working with me who have been extremely supportive of me during my campaign, even during my term, my first stint that I would have had as a councillor. I always have a team of energetic, passionate persons working alongside me. And I am always humbled by that. You know, it's not always you get people bringing themselves forward to assist, sharing their expertise, their ideas, their guidance. So, you know, these things matters to me, and it's always important that I show gratitude for that. But I appreciate your kind words and your endorsements. Thank you.
And I'm seeing on the chat, you're getting a lot of kudos. Excellent counselor. Orapun appreciates him. He stays connected to the ground. So I think August 14, we all know where we put in that X, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
And Darren, after hearing all the trials and the tribulations of a counselor, all the challenges, you still want the work? You still want the job?
Of course. Of course. that's part and parcel with the job. But the reward is knowing that you are actually contributing to the wider community and your nation, knowing that you are leaving back something, you're leaving the world better than you met it. That is a very major reward. You know, we shouldn't always ask what we get from our country, but what we could give back to our country as well. So that's just one part of it. The hard work is always come before the reward, you know, and a lot of people lose sight of other people just want to view the reward, but they negate or neglect, I should say, the hard work that they have to do. But once you enjoy the reward, the hard work, you just take it and embrace it and continue pressing forward. You know the reward is worth the while.
Lisha, before we get into the open mic and the Q&A, Darren said something earlier, and I just want to make sure that I heard correct, and maybe if he can elaborate on it. He was speaking, I think I asked him about the response on the ground and whatnot, and he said that the PNM councillor would mostly go on that side or one side and not this side. Within your district that you are going up for, what sort of, is there a division or what it is on that side?
Well, when you view the map of northern Port of Spain, it's a very diverse electoral district. St. Clair, Belmont, Port of Spain proper, and Newtown all come. And yeah, St. Clair, they closer boss here. They all comprise northern Port of Spain. But there's a particular part in the electoral district that is make or break for anybody vying for the seat. And that would be the housing development called Shafford Courts or Shafford Flats. For the past 3 elections, every candidate that won the seat got a lion's share of the votes from Shafford Courts. So you find the current councillor doing a lot of work in that area throughout her time as the councillor. And it's very obvious that she is doing that so she can be re-elected while neglecting the other part of the electoral district, which is very disheartening to say the least, because I would have spoken to members of the community in Newtown. Some say they never saw the councillor. They don't even know if it's a man or woman. What's her name? What's his name? I don't know who it is. They're a councillor. What is a councillor? They don't even know. So it is evident that she stays on that side with being re-elected in mind and not actually doing what she put herself up to do, which is serve the people. And I hope members of this great electoral district, Northern Port of Spain, can hear this and understand that they deserve more. I am willing to give more, and if we work together, we will have a very, very, very beautiful Northern Port of Spain for the next 4 years, the next 3 years.
And we know you're the man for the job, you know. I mean, just listen to Darren, ladies and gentlemen. This is a man that you want to be a counselor. So down to earth, so positive, so enterprising. Right? I mean, come on, there should be no question on August the 14th where that X is going to go. I want to ask you, now, first of all, let me just announce the time has already flown. It is 8:48. I can't believe it. I know both these guys are campaigning and it's taking a lot out of them. So I don't want to keep them too long, right? But there's still a number of questions that we haven't asked. There's one or two that I want to ask before we wrap up. I also want to invite the audience to put any questions they may have on the chat, or if you want to make a contribution, raise your hand because we're entering the Q&A and open mic. So questions that I feel I must ask, and because we have the both of you here and you're both young. Now, we keep hearing we have to get the youth to come out and vote. We have to get them involved. They must come out and vote. That's important. What are you guys doing as young politicians to get the youth to actually come out and vote, or even be a whole part of this democratic process?
Thank you, Lisha. During my walks, I would meet a lot of young persons. As you know, school is out, so you would see a lot of persons whom you would see them on the streets, they play and etc. And I always try to engage in conversation with these young people. Maybe it's because of the teacher underpinning in me tends to I'll encourage that type of thing. But the young people, young adults, they would compare and contrast life under the PNM versus life under the PP government. When we were in government, factually, I can tell you, there was much more opportunities for young persons. You had much more skills training opportunities. You had the textbook program. You had the GATE program. You had the laptop program. You had the school feeding program. And there's a specific reason I am speaking about these initiatives, because these are the projects that directly impacted young people and their lives and their overall academic journey. And when it is a young person can show you the stark contrast, and it's important that we compare and we contrast, because that is where you get an opportunity to draw, to see the difference, the binary division between both things, the ugly and the working. And when persons can recognize how much this government would have taken from our young people, hands down, they would tell you, yes, I remember when Auntie Kamala was in power, it was this, it was that. So you're seeing they're able to discern how better and how life was for young people wanting to get an education, job opportunities, the creation of new jobs, and all of these different things. Lisha, during my walks, and I know you have been following me on social media, you would see an exodus of young people coming forward to join with me. Our political leader, Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, she's a visionary. She believes in the youth and their voice, so much so that if you look at the local government candidates, even many of our sitting MPs, you would see a large cross-section is young people. So what she's doing, she's marrying the youth with the experienced ones. And young persons looking on, they would appreciate that, because it produces a forum for the young voice or the youth voice to weigh in the overall political discussion. And that type of conversation is something that I feel the PNM cannot boast about. They don't have that type of thing happening the way in which we do it, and our degree of dynamism and how we treat with it. We have a very active youth arm, and that's something I feel extremely proud about, and I feel always boastful about. We have a young, vibrant chairperson of that youth arm, and young people are really coming forward and saying, yeah, the UNC is the way, and I am seeing it during my walks.
Darren, I'd like you to weigh in on that, because your district is demographically very different from Richard's district. So what are you doing in your campaign to pull in that young voter?
Well, contrary to popular belief, there isn't a challenge for me with the young voters. My greatest challenge are the older voters. A lot of the younger persons are very keen, contrary to what a lot of people think of them. They are very keen to spotting the disparity between the United National Congress and that other party. They realize that life was much easier. A lot of resources was much more readily available. A lot of opportunities were there when, as they affectionately refer to as, when Auntie Cams was there. So when I go on walks, it's a very organic conversation because I myself pretty young. So when I engage them in conversations, most times they come to me. So it is very easy to have that conversation. The biggest issue that I do have with them, though, is actually getting them to go to the polling station. Because some of them, while they may see the difference, they believe that their vote, wherever my vote don't matter, the other people will vote, they don't have an appreciation for the democratic process, and they don't have appreciation for how important each and every vote makes, what difference it makes, because the numbers don't just miraculously appear. Each and every single person that goes in, it is counted. So if every person that thinks that their vote don't count actually do go out, we will see the difference. So, and there's a next thing that I'd like to talk about briefly. We all appreciate the reality of the gang warfare in the country, and Port of Spain is no stranger to that. With that in mind, there's a tactic that is being employed, and I'm not certain who would have, what is the genesis of it, but it happens. So what will happen is polling stations will be placed in certain areas, making it difficult for individuals who would like to vote to go there, because they are aware that some people can't go in certain areas. So you may have a crop of young voters eager to go out and vote, and when you explain to them where their polling station is, it's like, I want to vote for you, but I just can't. I'm not going to chance going over there. So, it's more a systemic issue than actually getting the people out there to come out. So I believe once I partner with the youth and continue to drive home the importance of their vote, we would find a way that even in the face of these difficulties, we will get them from point A to point B to make that difference as needed.
Guys, I think you all as UNC candidates, you all should be carrying the UNC's message, and we need to remind persons of the performance of the UNC government, because we speak a lot about young voters, but remember, an 18-year-old now would have been, let's say, 5 years old when a UNC government was in power. What it is they would remember or know about the laptop program, about jobs, security, and how much a UNC government would have done. So I think we need to school these young persons on how well a UNC government perform, and you all being candidates on the ground, we need to push that into their heads.
I fully endorse that message. I was fortunate to engage a young voter, and his opening is, I don't believe in this tribal thing. I'm to give everyone a hearing so I could know who I'm voting for. I want to make an informed decision. And it's quite refreshing to hear a young voter say that, because when I go to the older folks, they see the disdain on their face, which is quite unfortunate, because the living situation that they have currently isn't any better than it was throughout all the other 10 years they would have lent their support for. So, you know, I'm happy to know that the young people are actually being a little more progressive in their thinking and allowing better judgment to guide their decision making when they want to participate in the democratic process.
Okay, guys, I know you all are both very tired. I know how hectic that campaign trail is, so I really don't want to keep you beyond the allotted time, right? Maybe a closing question. And I feel I need to ask this question. Why do you think you would be the best candidate for your district?
Okay, so, you know, just to summarize that, I think one good term deserves another. As the incumbent, I learned a lot. There's so many things, you know, in retrospect, looking back and reflecting on my journey. I think now I have a very, very good understanding on how to tackle certain issues, how to be calculated in certain regards, strategizing, and I understand to a greater degree how this thing works. Like I would have mentioned earlier in the interview, I did not have and I haven't had any training in politics or local government. So it was really a opportunity initially for me to experience a new way of rendering service, because essentially it boils down to service the community, and by extension, service the country. Having become more cognizant of all of these different layers that make a councillor and make local government, I think this second term would be a testimony of imperative improvements in the way I do things and in my electoral district.
Richard, thank you for that answer. And before we go on to Darren Doe, I'm seeing Kasraj has joined us, a regular who's with us every week, and a comment is made here. Election day staff and machinery must be properly selected, well-trained, motivated, and ready. And he puts that on the chat every week since we started the this local government series. So, Kasraj, we are hearing you loud and clear. The candidates are on, and I'm sure they're hearing you loud and clear. Darren, so over to you. Same question. Why do you think you would be the best candidate for your district?
Myself becoming the councillor for Northern Port of Spain, or any seat in Port of Spain, is somewhat very personal for me, because being very ambitious and entrepreneurial, I was placed in a very disadvantageous position in many a time because of where I live. I could remember clearly applying to the prison service and being successful in my written exams, and I got to the interview, and the commissioner of prisons at the time, I wouldn't call his name, he asked me, don't you have an aunt or an uncle or any other family member address he could use? See this address here, we don't think this will work out, you know. And going forward, I was quite disheartened at the reality that I lost the opportunity because of my address. And there are a lot of beautiful minds, entrepreneurial persons, people who have a lot to offer to society that come from where I come from. Unfortunately, there's a stigma attached to the area, but there's a lot of good people come from where I come from. So myself becoming the councillor, I would take that title as councillor very personal, and it will be an exhibition to the burgesses and to the nation by extension that good things still do come from this part of the island, and we should not simply put a stigma on a person because of where they grew up geographically, but by the contents of their character. And also, myself being of a particular ethnic background. I want to prove once and for all that the United National Congress is a national party. Let's stop using misguided, misinformed narratives and rhetoric to dictate the way we allow the governance of this country to be guided. So once I am selected as the councillor, there will be a great inclusion, and the fairy tale of the haves and the have-not in my electoral district, we would take this fairy tale and make it a reality, and the diversity of the electoral district will be seen as one that, yes, this is what representation is supposed to look like, not just from one end or the other end, but a very nice balance of equity, not equality, because equality would mean I'm going to give everybody the same amount, and everybody don't need the same amount. But when we have equity, everybody gets just enough to make sure everyone is on the same page. So I want to ensure I don't repeat the mistakes of the former councillor, because if you want to know where you go, you need to know where you come from. I would not repeat the mistakes of the former councillor or councillors of that electoral district, but I will engage members of the electoral district as to their issues on a very constant basis, because they are the ones that put me there. I am the conduit for their thoughts, their concerns, their cries, and from that point going forward, we would now have a proper communication channel, and we will get what needs to be done in a very timely manner. And Richard alluded to something about speaking to corporate, the corporate entities in the electoral district. That is something I applaud Richard for, because I've spoken with Richard. That's a very good friend of mine, and it's something I think I would be emulating as well, because you can't go to your businesses and say, but they didn't give me anything, I can't help. They didn't put you there because they want to get an excuse, despite you're supposed to get it from the government. You need to be very resourceful and prove to them why this side of the divide is where you should be. Because they are accustomed getting promises and excuses. It's about time we get people who care a little more about being there than just being there for being their sake. Yeah? So that's why I believe I'll be the best councillor for the electoral district I am vying for the seat for.
Guys, this was a wonderful conversation. I enjoyed it very much. I'm seeing lots of kudos here on the chat, thumbs up. We got some perfect answers to some of these questions, and we didn't get through all our questions. So, after August 14th, we having you all back, but in a different capacity, because you all will be back not just as candidates, but as councillors. Right, but let me tell you what I really loved with this conversation. You see the sincerity in it and the authenticity in it. These guys are really talking from their hearts, and they're not giving you BS. What they are telling you, you could take that as at face value, right? I always love it when young people come onto the program, because you get that fresh thinking, and they're intelligent, progressive, and just the freshness in the thinking. I think it's excellent. So it is 9:06, and as I said before, these guys are on the campaign trail. In fact, I don't think Richard changed his clothes from his walkabout. He's still in the same clothes, so he would have been walking for hours and just came in and sat down in front of the laptop and joined us. And I think it's the same thing for Darren, right? So, all right, let's close off, and I'll give you, Richard, a chance to give some closing remarks, and then Darren, and then Shanta, you could close us off.
Thank you, to everyone that is looking on and can vote. On Monday, August 14, the choice is clear. I mean, need I say more? The UNC stands on performance and progress. That is the basis onto which we operate. We have a clear plan. We have been proven and tested, and the UNC works. We're calling on you to secure your community, and by extension, let us secure our country. The UNC, the United National Congress, has proposed several strategies should we become successful at the local level that we're going to incorporate safeguarding. We're going to support your requests to gate your communities. You know, we stand your ground to law-abiding citizens. So we have a whole nationwide crime and safety master plan for the country. So understand, follow us, familiarize yourself with what it is exactly we plan to do. And come Monday, August 14, the choice is clear. Vote for you. Vote for the United National Congress.
Thank you, Richard. Darren, closing remarks?
Just to echo the sentiments of my good friend Richard, Burgesses of the electoral district of Northern Port of Spain, and even all other persons from different electoral districts that are viewing now, the choice is clear. We can clearly see the stark comparison between what you were given for many, many years and what you can get once you put the X by the rising sun by the United National Congress. I'm urging members of the communities in my electoral district to allow their conscience to guide them when they get to the polls, because it's a proven fact that the heaviness of that other party tends to manifest itself on that day. Either rain falling or something occurs, something happens with your family and you can't get to the polls. I'm just urging you to try your best to overcome all the distractions that are stopping you from voting for you, because a vote for the United National Congress is a vote for you. Get there, do what you know is right, and let's partner together to build a much greater community than you have ever seen before. So on August 15th, we'll all be happy going forward, and we'll continue to do what is best for all of us. Thank you.
Well, guys, before Shanta closes off, I just want to wish you both all the best at the polls on August the 14th. And these are the sentiments that have been expressed on the chat here as well. Somebody said it was a really good discussion and they thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I can't believe it's 9:10. I can't believe that. And we didn't even get through half of the questions, you know, and it's 9:10. Right? I mean, I feel like you are both winning candidates. That's how I'm feeling, you know, with the right mindset, the right ideas. You know, Richard, when you said that phrase that Chant and I both wrote down, turning red flags into red carpet, you know, we're going to use that now. That's going to be one of our go-to phrases, and one good term deserves another, and I fully endorse that. One good term deserves another. So St. Augustine, South Piarco, St. Helena on August 14th. Come out and vote for Richard Rampersad, who is going to be your incoming councillor for the district. And Darren, I mean, you are right up there too, eh? You're really right up there too. I'm sorry I'm not closer to Port of Spain to come and campaign for you though. Right? And I mean, I just loved it when you said, you know, politics is your calling. And the political climate is ripe for change, right? And that to me was very profound. And also, you know, something that resonated with both of you guys is change. Change is a hot topic. It's a word you're hearing all over. You know, the country is ready for change. The ground is changing. People are yearning for change. And change is the only way we are going to grow our people. So we have to embrace change. It might be frightening. It might put you out of your comfort zone, but we need to embrace change. So I think I have said enough. I just have to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and everyone, the Compass Foundation, everyone who is on the Zoom as well as on social media with us. Best of luck to you. We'll be praying for you, and you'll be in our thoughts straight until the 14th of August and even beyond. So Shanta, over to you now.
Thanks, Lisha. Before I go, let me just tell Darren, Lisha was very excited to have you on this program. she sold you to us so well. Lisha was really, really excited to have you on.
It was my pleasure to be here as well.
I wanted you even before this episode, you know. I mean, I always thought this is such an interesting person to bring on the program. And, you know, it was our luck that you decided to put yourself up to be a candidate. So we had a valid reason now to bring you on.
All right, guys. Thank you to our young, vibrant, passionate panel this evening. It's very warm and welcoming to see young persons put themselves up for public service and interested in politics. Tonight's discussion was really, really excellent, especially we saw it from two sides of it, the East-West corridor and then the West, and the belly of the PNM and the belly of the UNC. So tonight's discussion was really, really a good one. Richard and Darren, we wish you all the best on your campaign trail. And, you know, under UNC government, they say performance beats all talk, and victory would be yours. You know, just have that faith, that trust, and do what you have to do, and all will be well. Gentlemen, I must commend you all on how you spoke. We really heard your humility and, you know, how genuine you are to make this place a better place and for public service. To our viewers, thank you all for tuning in. Every week we have our loyal viewers. Thank you all so much. And we will tune in next week, same time, same place for another critical conversation. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you for having me.